All right, welcome to episode 14 of Snapverse616. I'm Smokey, and with me, as always, is Jeremy. Only
Audio only.
only audio this time, so you'll get a nice little still up there, and that'll be that.
Yeah.
It's not you, it's him.
Goddamn wheelchair battery.
Yeah, his wheelchair battery and charger had some technical issues, so he can't get to his cam easily right now. But yeah, we got a lot of news coming up, so we'll be right back with Weekly Bugle. First up, just a reminder, March 6th, Nimrod Season Pass does go live. And just as a little bit of a reminder, we have the graphic from a few episodes ago. You can see the card backs, the cards that are coming out, the variants, the avatars. So Nimrod, the 5/5 card, could be really nice in a Galactus deck. You play him somewhere, play Galactus, Nimrod destroys, 2 copies got to go somewhere, there's only 1 lane left, bam, that's a +10. That could be really nice. But yeah, so Nimrod season's starting March 6th, Monday, at reset. So that'll be coming up here. But first stuff we got is there's a bunch of bundles, but before that, we've got another event coming. So that's cool.
Yeah, I mean, it spices the life of the game up a little bit.
Yeah, and I think like with the Winterverse ones, so you're gonna get these steampunk variants, Bishop, Cerebro, Falcon, Shocker, and Yellowjacket. But like before, it's a good way to get pool 3 cards that you just don't have, that you need. Like maybe you want Cerebro and Falcon, you don't have them or something,
Yeah, I don't have either one of those, actually. I do have everyone else, but I don't have Cerebro or Falcon.
Yeah, so. Yeah, and I feel like there's a lot of people out there that don't have Cerebro and or Falcon, and so they can't run a proper bounce deck or a Cerebro Bast deck or whatever it is, but this will give people the opportunity to kind of get those. Additionally, there's going to be some title rewards, steam-powered, fully leather-clad, and the goggles do nothing! So.
Which is actually kind of funny.
Right.
God.
I don't know why, but it made me think of Stargirl and DC and Beth and how like everybody used to complain, she doesn't do anything on the show, she's just a pair of goggles. And then like in season 3 she unlocks all the powers of them and is a badass. But I digress.
It just makes me think of any steampunk piece of media. They always have goggles,
right?
Yet they never actually use them. They're just like on the fucking forehead.
Right? For real. There's just always goggles. Dude, I have a pair of steampunk goggles from when I did a Fallout cosplay. They're like on a table over there still. They did nothing.
It's literally any steampunk. It's like,
right?
It's a must-have.
Swimmers and steampunk. Goggles. Like just the handshake meme, No.
At least with swimmers, they use the goggles.
This is true. This is true. So maybe I see the problem. The steampunk guys can't go in the water because they'll rust, but they've got the goggles in case they do. I get it. I get it now.
Except most of the time they're missing the lenses.
Right.
So.
But yeah, so these are some pretty cool looking variants with the steampunk. I'd say out of all of them, my favorites are probably Bishop and Falcon.
Mine would be Bishop, yeah.
Like, Bishop just looks like a badass. Falcon looks pretty badass. He's kind of got, like, a whole, like, Leonardo da Vinci flying machine kind of vibe to him, and I like it.
I mean, Shocker's not bad. I just don't use Shocker, so it's...
Same. That and Yellowjacket, they look okay. It's just, I don't really use them.
Whereas I used to use Bishop all the time. Like, Bishop was a mainstay in a lot of my early decks.
Yep. So, they did announce the next season, so like how we knew about the Nimrod season that's starting in a couple days. ahead of time. We also know about the next season, so everybody's been collectively like losing their shit because, oh my god, it's a Hitmonkey season, and who doesn't like Hitmonkey? I haven't watched the show yet. Amy and I keep meaning to, and just haven't gotten to it yet. But
I watched the first episode and I was like, this is okay, but it didn't grab me. So I'm like,
fair enough. But yeah, so this one will start April 3rd at 7 p.m. Pacific. It'll end May 8th at 7 p.m. Pacific. They will have Cosmo, Goose, and Hitmonkey variants and avatars, which you can see here. The Goose one is awesome. That's probably like my favorite easily.
I think the Goose one is dumb. I don't like it at all.
What? It's adorable. It's got the flirkin thing, and Goose has Captain Marvel like as like a little like stuffy, like but wrapped up in the tentacle, and then like Nick Fury's on the floor.
I don't like it. It doesn't make a good card. It's a good piece of art. It's not a good card.
Well, I'm only talking about the art. Who cares about the card? The card's already existed. What?
Yeah, but I'm saying that piece of art doesn't make a good card.
Oh, why?
It doesn't make a good poster. It doesn't make a good card.
I think it makes a good card. You're weird. I don't get what you're saying.
It's just taste. It's
yeah,
taste
yeah. Well, I like it. I think it tastes great, less filling. But anyway, the Cosmo one's not bad. And
I like the Cosmo one because it reminds me of old school Pokemon cards.
Yeah, and the Hitmonkey one is like cyborg. It's a cyborg variant, so he looks pretty cool. He's got like a Winter Soldier looking arm and shit. It's kind of dope.
Yeah. I think my favorite out of them is probably the Cosmo again.
Fair
because
enough.
it reminds me of like Gen 1 Pokemon cards.
Fair enough. So the first card we'll talk about is Hitmonkey. That's the Season Pass card. So he's an on reveal, gain +3 power for each other card you played this turn, which on the surface seems like not a lot, you know.
Depends on the deck you play.
Yeah, so you're like you could see him having some use as a ramp card in Thanos because of all the stones. But I think where you're really going to see him shine is in a bounce deck featuring like Beast, Falcon, Quinjet, because you can drop him down multiple times in multiple turns and keep adding to him.
You could see him shine depending on your hand draw in like a swarm deck as well.
Yeah.
Like Swarm, Calling Wing, Hitmonkey.
Yeah, like play him on the last turn and you're playing all of those. The only risk is if you draw Hitmonkey ahead of Swarm. In that case, Colleen would kill Hitmonkey potentially.
Well, no, doesn't Colleen?
She kills the lowest cost, but Hitmonkey's 2 and so Swarm.
You would have to draw Colleen, Swarm, and then draw Hitmonkey later.
Exactly. So it could be risky. So I think he's going to have his most value in the bounce deck, but he could be weak in the case of lane lockers like Professor X and Spidey, because they'll prevent cards from getting played or you from bouncing him back into your hand. Storm as well. Cosmo because it's a reveal. Valkyrie and Shadow King because they'll just reset his power anyway. So he does have some weaknesses, but I think they're few and far between. And the ones that are probably most prominent are Cosmo and the lane lockers.
And it's an on reveal, right? So,
yeah. So Cosmo, if you play it in the right spot, takes away a lane.
Yeah. Yep.
And since they're going to be playing a lot of low-cost cards, once they fill up a spot, they can't bounce back again. That Cosmo card gets easier to predict where you got to play it, too. But I think Hitmonkey's a cool character. I think the default card's kind of dope because he's got like a gun in one hand, and then he's got like a gun in his foot for the other one. So he's like doing a handstand on his
I think I prefer the default card over the variant that we
I do like this one better than the cyborg variant. I agree. But yeah, so apparently he was once a wild macaque from Japan, and kind of like some like Splinter-esque kind of shit. He studied the moves of an assassin that his clan took in, like his clan of monkeys, mind you. They took in this human assassin that was like injured and like nursed him back to health or whatever. Yeah. And then Hitmonkey observed him.
The show does a pretty good like intro to like the creation of him. It's very violent. It's awesome.
Damn.
That's you should watch it just for that.
I will eventually, but I'm pretty sure Amy wants to watch it too, so I haven't yet. Yeah, second card we have, we don't have as much information on, so unfortunately I can't really tell you how it works 100%, but it's Snow Guard.
Yeah, this one confused me, but it's because we don't know enough about it yet.
Yeah, all the data mine information had nothing provided in terms of the while in your hand, this transforms each turn into a hawk or bear. So obviously this is some sort of like chimeric like moon sun phase card reminiscent of like World of Warcraft.
Mm-hmm.
And so like I get it, it's kind of like a druid, but we don't have any information yet on what the specific like
Yeah,
is the
what's
hawk gonna
benefit
have,
of
what's
each
the bear,
one?
yeah, like what's each one's power, ability, whatever. We don't know that yet, but it is a 1/2 card, so I'm assuming it when it transforms, it might not be a 1/2.
Or it'll be a 1/2, so just like Hawk will have movement, and then Bear will have some other ability.
Exactly. Um, so known associates, I'd say like Khazar, Blue Marvel, Sunspot, She-Hulk, all the standard like energy sparing things and buff things, and the one cost stuff. And then as far as known weaknesses, we're honestly not really sure because we don't know enough about those other things.
I'm gonna throw Killmonger in there just as a
Yeah,
default.
if it
It's a
stays
one.
at a 1, Killmonger, but since we don't know enough about the transformations, mileage may vary on that. But I thought the story behind Snowguard is really cool because they're an Inuk from Pangnirtung. I think I got that right, Pangnirtung, an island in Canada. So it's kind of like First Nations stuff that like would be like more familiar to you maybe than me. But her name's Amka Aliak, and basically she fights for the rights of like nature and the earth and like against like global warming and stuff. I think it's kind of a cool character. It's
Yeah,
basically like if Greta Thunberg was a superhero. I mean, she is a superhero,
it's
but like a
based on
Marvel
like
superhero.
Inuit and culture from like the Yukon area of Canada. What it's
Okay, that's
based
cool.
on, but I don't know
Yeah,
how closely it sticks to that.
me either. And I figured you might know more about it being Canadian, so I figured I'd throw that to you for
Don't know
that.
much, but yeah.
Um, the next card we have is Jeff the Land Shark.
This one's interesting to me.
Yeah, so a land shark that was adopted by West Coast Avenger Gwenpool. Jeff once watched her defeat the Hulk. There's not a lot of story and info about him other than he's just a goofy card or a goofy character, from Gwenpool. And for reference, Gwenpool is Spider Gwen all Deadpooled out. Um, so this card, you can move this once. Nothing can stop you from moving or playing this to any location. So Professor X's days are numbered, especially considering they both share the same power. You could Prof X something and the other guy can be like, tie, and then you're screwed because that was your best laid plan and you wasted 5 on it. He can counter that with a
Unless
2.
you have a way of buffing Professor X.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or you have like more in the lane than just +3. So that's gonna make Professor X really like diminish in value without Daredevil. Now you pretty much gotta have Daredevil because you gotta know like, am I leading this lane by at least 3 when I put him down? Otherwise,
But
yeah.
it could be a decent combo with Professor X because people won't expect it until we see it a bunch.
So
Right?
yes. So the flip side of it is you can make sure your Professor X is stronger by having Jeff with a 4-cost card on the last turn. So you could go ahead and do that. But the problem there is you don't have time to move them. So I think it's more a counter to Professor X unless you
I
have
would
magic.
agree.
So you'd have to have
I would
magic
agree.
to really use them with Professor X, which then makes it a whole other curve. And then how do you play Magic and Professor X? So now you got to get Mr. Negative in there. So now you got to draw him and you got to draw stuff in a certain order. And all that just to Professor X and Jeff, that's a lot of work for minimal power. So I'd say he's more going to be a counter.
Yeah, I would agree. I'm just saying, but
Yeah.
if you were to get like
Yeah,
kind of stuck
Yeah,
Professor X.
yeah. Or if somebody else played Professor X, it, like when you were planning to, and you had this
Yeah,
as a card, you could still stuff it in there.
yeah.
But yeah, I think you're gonna need like Sarah, Cerebro, maybe Spider-Man, Professor X to work with Jeff. Um, and I'd say probably his only really known weakness is Galactus, because if he's dead, he can't really move to the location, can he? But pretty interesting card. I think it was needed because lane locking is very powerful, and so this like gives an answer to that other than just split cards. The last card we have that's coming out during that season is going to be a Stegron, and Stegron is actually the dude's name. It's like Doctor Strange, you know, like that's just his name. So Dr. Vincent Stegron became Dinosaur Man after he was assisting S.H.I.E.L.D. in weaponizing Savage Land DNA.
So, to me, this card just looks like a stronger Juggernaut.
Pretty much. On reveal, move an enemy card from here to another location. Yeah, it's a Juggernaut with specific power. And they don't have to play the card that turn for you to do the damage. So, like,
Yeah.
I'd say it could be effective in a deck with things like Magneto, Polaris, Juggernaut, Arrow. Things that, like, disrupt
Kingpin.
and move. Yep, Kingpin. Things that disrupt and move cards for your opponent. And then, like, when we're talking Kingpin and stuff, too, like, you can literally take out their most powerful card without having to have a Shang-Chi.
Yeah. It would work well with lane locking
Yeah.
too, because if you can lane lock them into a Kingpin.
Yeah. The things that would be like it would be weak to though are like Captain Marvel and stuff like that can just like move after anyway.
Yeah.
But
Unless you get lucky and move
yeah.
them into a Kingpin.
Well, yeah, or a
something
Fist
that
Tower or
kill
something
them.
like that. Yeah. But this will be an interesting card. So it looks like they're really trying to give movement decks and bounce decks some love, which doesn't surprise us considering like 2 months ago or a month and a half ago, Ben Brode said he was surprised more people don't play bounce. It's such a strong deck.
Yeah.
Why don't people play it? So you can clearly tell that it's his favorite or his, pet deck. So it was only a matter of time before it got some love.
I mean, there's two big reasons why I think a lot of people don't play bounce decks. One is they don't have the cards for it, and two, it requires thinking and
a lot of quick math and stuff
strategizing.
like that too. So if you're not good at doing math quickly, that one can be hard.
It's like me. I don't mind playing them if I have the right cards, but at the same time, like when I'm ladder climbing, I want a deck that I 100% know how to play.
Yeah.
And not relying on like.
Yeah, and
Perfect.
and they have a lot of moving parts too, which makes it hard to like execute it easily. And a lot of the climb decks are like you need 3 cards to win.
Climbing, yeah.
So the next thing that we're going to talk about is the upcoming bundles. They're introducing like a whole new thing to try to get more tokens into players' hands because people are like, this is bullshit. I can't get any of the cards. I'm never catching up. So they're trying to get more tokens into players' hands. So save your gold like we always recommend, but now you can get some tokens on Tuesdays. It's going to be Token Tuesdays. First one was February 28th through March 1st. That one was like 450 gold. You got 400 tokens and 15 random boosters. The next one's, March 7th through 8th, 850 gold, 800 tokens, 65 random boosters. March 14th through 15th, 650 gold, 600 tokens, 35 random boosters. And then the last one for March 21st to 22nd that we know of anyway, is going to be 450 gold and 400 tokens again. So like all told throughout the month, you can get 2,200 tokens. That's not bad.
I actually really like this.
Yeah,
personally.
yeah, and I think they're realizing that people don't care about the art so much necessarily. They just want the damn tokens. So they've introduced this thing to try to like make that happen for people. And I think the fact that it's almost like a 1-to-1 gold to token ratio, not quite, it's a -50, but
I think the moment that art becomes more important is once you already have cards that you like,
Yeah.
you've got all the major cards.
Or
then
or if the art is on a card that specifically you don't have yet, and then if you buy it now you can play it.
Yeah.
Like
So
when
it's
the
like
Deadpool was out or
once you've
something.
completed the collection, or mostly completed the collection, then art becomes something that you're willing to spend gold on because,
Yeah.
like, you've already got the cards. You might as well spice your deck up.
Yeah.
It's like cosmetics in Fortnite, right?
Yeah. I mean, that said, I'm like 3,400 CL, and I've got like all pool 3, but I still need a fair few 4s and 5s. I don't really buy art, and then when I do,
like,
it's not as big a deal because I know I don't need like everything. Well, I mean, Mal, he buys art, but he's not done with 4 or 5 either. He just loves the art and buys it.
But he's got most of the cards that he wants, right? Basically, right?
For the most part. I mean, and so do I, technically. The only thing that like I have pinned right now that I'm like, ooh, I want to try it is Kang, but since it's got like a negative cube rate overall, I don't know that I really care about it anymore, but I'm leaving it pinned because I don't need anything else that badly.
But though you guys are the type of players that generally would care more about the art.
True.
Right?
So, I mean, true.
Whereas you got players like me that, like, I'm collection level. I just hit 1,800.
Yeah.
So
true.
I've got a lot more cards that I gotta collect before I can start worrying about. Oh, this art looks cool. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. Though the next bundle that they have, like big one, Mystique, was Momoko Magic. This one's going through March 9th. This one was really good value because the price is 20 USD, like 19.99, but the rewards, if you look at them, you get 1,500 gold. Well, the thing about that is 50 more gold than you get for spending $20 just on gold. So the value is already a positive just from that alone. But then you get 1,500 credits. That's 3 ultras to infinite. You get 155 Mystique boosters. You get the Mystique variant. So if you don't even have Mystique and you need Mystique, boom, now you got her. And you get the avatar. I think this one was a really good one, and it came out in conjunction with a thing called More Magic that ran through the 4th that cost 900 gold. So you could spend a chunk of that gold you got from Momoko Magic on that, and it gave you 700 tokens. See, because that's the only thing that Momoko Magic does not give is tokens. But again, the gold value is so good that you can use that to buy your token things later. So like most people bought Momoko Magic, then bought More Magic with the gold.
This bundle was very interesting to me, except for the fact that I'm in Canada, so it's like double the fucking price, basically.
I mean, that's true, but like, it's still like for your normal price for that amount of gold, still cheaper. I'm pretty sure, right?
Yes, but I'm saying for me financially, it's like I
oh yeah, I get that. I get that. I was just making sure that it was still a positive value, even in Canada.
It is. It's just my financial situation.
Yeah, not everyone is able to, for sure. And I mean that's partially how I got so far ahead.
I love the art too, like especially since I don't have Mystique. It's like that's a cool version of Mystique.
Yeah. Peach Momoko variants, Peach Momoko art's like really, really good. It's one of the best.
I mean, I got the Jubilee of it too, which is nice. But...
Yeah. The next pack bundle or whatever they have is Rivalry Week. And this one comes March 9th through 16th. It costs 4,000 gold. Only gives you 1,500 tokens, though. I think that's kind of booty. And only 2,000 credits. I think that's kind of booty. Gives you 155 Bishop boosters. Okay. Gives you 2 variants that you see here, Mr. Sinister and Bishop. I mean, they look cool, but not 4,000 gold for only 1,500 tokens cool, because I'm about to have all these Token Tuesdays popping up like, fuck that. And then you get the avatars too. I'd say this one is probably not a good value. Only buy this one if you've got excessive money to spend and burn and whatever. Like, I would not buy this one. The gold to credit and gold to token ratio sucks.
And really use those two cards.
Yeah. You'd have to really like the art and want to use them. I mean, the bishop art is dope. Don't get me wrong, but
both pieces are really cool. But,
I mean, yeah, I just really like the bishop one better. That like lightning and all that. But man, I don't know about all that. 1,500 tokens to 4,000 gold is a very low ratio. We're used to seeing at least half.
I don't find either of those cards like used a ton now, so it's like, why spend that kind of gold?
I mean, I see a fair bit of bishop, but not enough that it's like I don't advise people to be.
Nice cat rolled off the computer and made a. Oh, fun.
Yeah, 2,000 credits to 4,000 gold. That's not very good. 1,500 tokens to 4,000 gold. That's not very good. We're used to seeing about half the gold as tokens, and we're used to seeing way more credits. So like, I feel like this is bad value. But with the upcoming Token Tuesdays, amounting to 2,200 tokens for a total of gold, that's like half this. Save your money for the Token Tuesdays. Don't fuck with this.
Even this special offer, which we're talking about next, is better than this.
Yeah, and the special offer has unconfirmed like data mining data, so like all we can say about it is we know it's March 16th through 20th. It should cost 700 gold, reward 600 tokens, 200 credits, 65 random boosters, and a mystery variant. That's good value. I would get down on that. Because a variant is going to cost you 700 gold anyway, right? In the shop for like the lower tier ones. Mystery variant, you could get a high tier one, you don't know. And then you get the boosters, a little bit of credits, not too much, but you get, more importantly, 600 tokens to 700 gold. And again, only 700 gold. You can get that from doing weeklies and like opening a season chest or something. So, I mean, not too much. The last one we have is March 16th through 25th. This one's going to cost 3,000 gold, and it's called Mutant Masterpiece. Now, I like these variants. That Forge is fucking lit.
I like all of them. They're all
cool. Yeah. Like, Angel looks cool. Angel's like half a Darkhawk looking card like that, Like, I dig it. And then that steampunk-ass Sentinel, like, that's fucking cool, dude.
You want to know what the Angel reminds me of? I just thought of this because I actually just saw this art. Ever remember the old cartoon Gargoyle?
Yeah, it does kinda. That's funny.
But yeah, to me, this bundle was a nice bundle. I would consider it a bundle.
Yeah, 3,000 gold. You get 1,500 credits, but you get really, really cool art. Like, really, really cool art for the Sentinel and Forge. I'd say it's worth it for the art if you really like this art. The only downside is it does not come with tokens, so that's a bit of an F's in chat for that. If it came with more credits, I'd feel better about it.
This is a good bundle if you run Collector.
Yeah.
Because you're often running Sentinel with Collector.
Yeah, and if you're tired of having like plain art for Sentinel or something, I could see it.
Yeah.
Especially the art's really, really good on this one. I like the Rivalry Week art was good, but I'd say this stuff looks way better, and you're getting 3 to 2. So I mean, I'd say the value's much better on this, especially considering Rivalry Week is 4,000 gold, and you get the same number of credits. You get one fewer variant. Yes, you do get the 2,000 tokens, but I mean, I don't know. If you're going for the art, I like this art better, but still, I'd save all the gold for Token Tuesdays at this point because that looks to be your best value going forward.
I mean, again, I think it's situational, but for the most part, yeah, I agree with you.
Oh, absolutely situational. Like, if I like art for something, like for instance, the Deadpool one that was out for Birth Pool that we talked about before, I got that one, and I would have gotten it regardless of what was in it, just because I want the art, I want the avatar, I want the Merc with the mouth,
I got that one because I didn't have Deadpool and I wanted to start running my death deck again.
Yep.
Now, I haven't ran my death deck since I got it because I've been having good success with with the APOC at the Disco deck.
Yeah, I just think that's kind of
But
funny though. But yeah, so that's pretty much all the news that's fit to print this week, and well, we better turn the lights off on Weekly Bugle before J. Jonah Jameson starts charging us for electricity. So we'll be
yeah,
back
that power
with
goes crazy.
right. He's power mad. We'll be back with Smoke Strat for success. Welcome to Smoke Strat for Success. This week we've got a few tips for you. So to start off with, if you play Galactus onto a card as a juke prior to Absorbing Man on a solo lane, it does work and will probably make your opponent snap and probably make your opponent wonder, what the fuck did this guy just do? So if you're trying to play Galactus in a unique way, if you're finding limited success, like with your Galactus shell, finding it's too predictable or something like that, you could try chucking an Absorbing Man in there so that you can play Galactus early after wave or something like that, right? And then Absorbing Man is only going to cost 4, so you can definitely follow back up on 5 with them and really throw your opponent off. So that's something to keep in mind, that Absorbing Man can copy Galactus regardless of whether Galactus or not. The next tip is a really important one for Collapsed Mine. So a lot of people don't know this, and you could get hit by this if you're not aware. But if you are playing rocks for the sake of buffing them, and Collapsed Mine pops, your rocks that you played to buff will now get destroyed.
Yep.
So it doesn't just destroy the rocks on the lane, it destroys all of them. So if you skipped a turn...
This was mentioned a few weeks ago in one of the Ben Brobes Q&As.
Okay.
And we did bring it up briefly in the location language discussion that we had a few weeks ago.
Yep.
But it is a good reminder of, like, yes, it does eliminate every rock. But yeah. This would work, like, if you find that, like, your location rates, you get a lot of Collapsed Mines, which certain decks do. This would work well with a death deck. For example, if you're running a death deck and you find that you're getting a lot of Collapsed Mines, and you happen to have, a rock slide or you get rock slided.
Yep.
Like, this is a good thing to take advantage of because it counts as destroyed cards.
Yep.
So you can get a cheap death.
Yep. That's very true. The last little tip we got for this week is location swap effects, like, say, Quake or the Mirror Dimension. I spaced for a second. So, like, Mirror Dimension and like Quake and whatnot, where the locations physically switch spaces, they will also physically move Spidey webbing, location lock effects, etc., etc.
Mm-hmm.
They don't move the characters. So say you play Professor X center, Quake does her thing, or the location does its thing, and now Professor X is still center, but the location went left. Well, his lock went left without him, basically. Other cards that have the same effect are like Jess Jones, Rescue, anything that has a this location next turn kind of thing would be affected similarly.
I actually lost a game due to this week. Somebody played a Spidey, and we had gotten on turn like 4 or whatever location swapped, or turn 5,
right?
Whatever it was, and
Mirror
because
hits at 4.
of that swap, I couldn't play and win the location that I needed to win the game.
Damn. That's super unfortunate.
I mean, I retreated when it happened, so I didn't lose what I should have, but yeah, it sucked.
But yeah, that's pretty much Smoke Strat for Success. A little short one this week since we have a lot of content updates, but we will be right back with locations. we're back with Invokes Accessible Vacation Locations. What do we have this week?
This week we have Sokovia and the Quantum Realm. I actually had a lot of fun with both these locations this week.
I know Kat hated Sokovia. I was indifferent.
I had some heat for it just because of RNG.
I think she was playing Thanos and kept losing stones and shit, so she hated it.
I was playing my APOC at the disco, so it benefited me in one way.
Right.
Because cards got discarded, right? But because of RNG, it would often discard my Modok.
It's like
not the best card to get discarded.
Now you're like, Hellcow, where are you? Save me.
Basically, yeah. And then oftentimes Hellcow would discard like different sword master, not APOC and sword.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't have too much problem because I was playing Galactus.
Yeah, RNG wasn't my friend, but I enjoyed it again because I was running the discard deck. It was a free discard essentially, which gave my Morbius power.
That's true.
Or could have theoretically discarded my APOC, which would have given my collector power.
Yeah, that's true.
Assuming I got collector out in time, like
right.
say it flipped turn 3 instead of turn 2 or 1.
Right.
So it buffed me quite a bit. I enjoyed the location. Had its moments where I said that, like I said, I hated it because it discarded the wrong card. But still, because of my curves, I had benefits with it. Basically, this location for a player that doesn't run a discard deck, though, it's like, it doesn't really affect you either way. It's kind of indifferent because you're going to lose a card regardless. Just plan to lose a card if this is a location that's common during that week. It shouldn't change your strategy. Play the way you play.
Yeah, and then there's some decks that it affects even less, right? Like, I know my Galactus, I really like, so I have 2 curves. One of them needs 3 cards, one of them needs 4 cards. So essentially, if you discard a random card from my hand, it's probably one I'm not going to need anyway.
Yep, exactly. And as for the Quantum Realm, well, this location helps, well, both helps and hurts pretty much every deck. It helps low power decks.
Yeah.
So like Patriot decks.
It helps
Collector
Cerebro.
Deck, Morbius, Cerebro. Like those buff type decks, it helps a lot because you can set your low power cards.
Yep.
Like your 1 power cards and your 0 power
you
cards.
put like Sunspot and Morbius there and watch them just grow.
Collector there. Yeah. You can't put any high power cards like APOC, MODOK, America Chavez. You can't put any of that in there because it makes them weaker.
Yep.
But it's like, it gives you one lane that you don't really have to worry about if you're running a buff type deck that's got a lot of low power cards, because you can lay a bunch of low power cards there and they're going to get buffed plus the buffs that you're going to give them anyway. So I again had a lot of fun because of the type of deck I was running. So I would often lay my Sunspot, Morbius, and Collector there, and then lay like Wong and discard cards opposite of it, so it would give me 2 wins to win. Because every turn, the cards that are on Quantum Realm were getting buffed. Right? So, like, cool.
Yeah.
I didn't have to worry about it.
For me, playing Galactus during that, I found it made Galactus a lot easier because one of 2 things happened. One, they embraced the Quantum Realm, so they played on it. Cool, I won't fuck with it.
And then you'll just destroy it.
Yeah, and then like, or they don't play on it, and it's like, okay, cool. Galactus is only 2 anyway. You're not playing there, deuces. And then I'd take the Quantum Realm and win. So I mean, it was like either way. I didn't mind it.
I would have done something similar with, if I had have used it, I probably would have done something similar with my Death deck, where it's like I would have made them play into it and then just overpowered them elsewhere, right? Because I've got bigger cards that will take care of your plus your 2 power, no problem, right?
Yep. And the other thing is too, it's after you play a card here. So even like a death deck, you can split your venom and it's not a played card,
Exactly.
or split your skull and it's not a played card or whatever. So you can do a lot of damage that isn't necessarily reduced there. But I found it was kind of fun to have. It made Galactus a little more interesting.
I love this week for locations. Like this
Yeah,
is
this
probably
was a
the most
decent week.
fun I've had in a few weeks for locations.
Yeah, yeah. I'd say like the last time a location was this fun was when everybody had death during Lamentus. That wasn't me. That's why I never made Infinite that season.
I love Momentous with death because I was running
Right.
the death deck at that point.
Such a good combo.
A lot of zero cost deaths turn one.
Yep, yep.
Another fun week that I had was the Quantum Tunnel. I enjoyed that because
Yeah.
it was a free loss stuff.
Yep, yep. That was a fun one. Yes, it definitely was a fun one. The ones that are coming up for the next season look pretty good.
This week.
Yeah. The ones coming up for this season look pretty good. We'll probably talk about those next week. So next up we'll have Super Squads. We'll be right back with that. This week on Super Squads, we don't have too many Super Squads this week. We just have a deck, but again, we have a lot of community content and a lot of news this week, so we didn't want to overstuff you. But this week, we're doing my Galactus deck. It's Daredevil, Green Goblin, Electro, Wave, Shuri, Shang-Chi, Spider-Man, Hobgoblin, Doc Ock, Null, Galactus, and Death. And so essentially, the way this deck works is on two different curves that you're attempting to make. And I wrote them down. There they are. So the first curve is the primary curve. This is the one you want to hit. This is the most disguised one. This is the one where it happens and they snap into you, and you're like, my man, thanks for the 8 cubes. Because there's nothing you're essentially going to have a Daredevil out maybe, and nothing, or a Green Goblin and nothing, or just nothing and nothing. And then turn 4 happens, and you drop Shuri, and they're like, okay, maybe they have the Red Skull deck. I'll wait. And then you follow up with a Hobgoblin onto an emptier lane of theirs. That's when they go, what? And then they snap. Or if you snap, they go, huh? And snap back. So it gets quite lucrative, basically. But at that point, your next turn, you follow up dropping Galactus there, and it's GG, because there's fuck all they can do at that point. You played it on their emptiest lane. You gave them a -16. You're playing a +2. Unless they're dropping Infinite right then, that turn, nah. Ain't shit they can do.
Yeah, I've seen you play this deck a bunch. It looks fun.
Yeah.
Then I would have fun.
Yeah. Then the second curve, if you don't hit that one, so this is a good deck to know to snap early too, because if you've got Shuri and Hobby in deck, all you gotta draw is the big man, if you've got Hobby and Galactus in deck, all you gotta draw is Shuri, etc., etc. There's ways around things too if you don't draw anything, with Doc Ock and Shuri and Shang-Chi and stuff and whatnot. You can Shang-Chi a big card and then play Null and be that card too, there's curves for I shouldn't say curves, but there's outs for when you don't hit the 2 curves. But the second curve is turn 3 Wave, turn 4 Galactus, turn 5 Spider-Man, turn 6 Null. GG. So when you do that one is more telegraphed. That one's more risky. And you also run the chance of if you're playing a mirrored deck and they didn't draw Wave, now they're gonna Galactus, and now you're on the same planet as them doing the same thing, and that gets a little spicy, especially if they reveal first and you didn't play Galactus where they did. Now you didn't get that +2. They're gonna Spidey. It's all but short of something like that, that one usually like knocks it down too. But the Shuri Hobby Galactus curve, the primary curve, they never understand it. They never see it coming, and it just slaps because they think, wow, this player's not very good. He sure committed to making a hobgoblin. And so then they figure, what, you got like a Hulk at best for your next turn, and they figure they're beating you. But they're not. So I really enjoy this one. This one's a lot of fun. Electro's in there. Worst case scenarios, you know, like you didn't get wave. You could play him, you know, have extra energy. You're still not going to be able to Galactus, you know, turn 4. So you'll have to Galactus turn 5. That takes the Spidey out of it. So you're probably going to try to rock Null Death at that point. So I'd say like the third curve would be Electro into random, into Galactus, into Death Null. But I mean, that one probably has the least effectiveness out of all the curves. And in terms of like the turn 4 after Electro, and you're going to that curve, you're going to want Doc Ock in hand, because you're going to take Doc Ock and play him somewhere to pull all the cards out of their hand onto a location you don't want to Galactus. That way, there's still like a lightly populated lane. But that's the least effective curve. But yeah, this deck is nasty, and I got to Omega with it. And I've been trying to get to Omega for seasons and seasons now, and I finally did it.
Yeah,
I did it
like
with
I
this deck.
said, I've seen you play this deck a bunch. It makes me want it, but I don't have Galactus.
Yeah, this deck is super fun to play.
Or no.
Yeah.
That being said, I did just pin Galactus, like, as
Hell
we
yeah.
were recording the podcast.
Hell yeah. Galen, man, that card is nasty. Galen is nasty. I called him Galen on stream, and someone was like, is that Galactus' name? And I'm like, yes, sir. But yeah, so that's gonna cover Super Squads. We'll be right back with some counterculture. This week on counterculture, we have three different counters that we've got here. The first of them is Shuri plus Hobgoblin versus Shang-Chi, or Goblin. I mean, Goblin's only going to be, you know, a -6, but I mean, even if it was a +6, it'd still be smaller. But it's mainly Shuri and Hobgoblin that we're thinking of here versus Shang-Chi. And this kind of like rolls from what we were talking about with the Galactus curve. You know, a lot of what undoes Galactus playing big cards is someone playing Shang-Chi when you have Prio or something, right? And boom, then your Null gets killed, or your Death and Null get killed, or, you know, what have you. But playing with the Hobgoblin, that versus Chi has no chance, because what's Chi going to do? It's negative, and it's on his own side, so, you know, what's he going to do about it? So I think that's a really, really nice counter. And I'd say like 90% of the time Shang-Chi loses. The only time he doesn't is when you go to drop it and the lane fills before you put it there. And that's not really Shang-Chi winning. That's just somebody bailing him out. The second one we have is Debris and Patriot versus Galactus. This one is a good counter to Galactus, actually, and if you pull it off the right way, Galactus loses. So what you wanna do if you're playing Debris, ideally, and you think someone might be playing Galactus, like they're not doing anything for a number of turns, or they play like turn 3 wave, or you know, you see like an Electro, some Goblins early, something like that. Anything that gives you an indication this might be Galactus. What you want to do is play Debris on a full lane for them, or a lane where they have something. That way all the rocks go into every empty lane they have, because Galactus is not going to be able to play if there's a rock in his way. So Debris can definitely take on Galactus. Similarly, Squirrel Girl can take on Galactus as well, but not in the game, which I think is funny because in lore, she made all the squirrels start talking to Galactus, and he can understand them. So what ended up happening was he was like, "Fuck, just shut him up," and she was like, "If you don't blow up the planet." Like he couldn't even concentrate enough to like blow up a planet. I think that's hilarious. But Central Park squirrels will stop, a Galactus player actually.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is an interesting
Yeah.
little lore bit.
Right. So similarly, debris rocks put in the way of Galactus's feet will cause him to trip over him like so much Legos in the middle of the night, and he'll lose to that because what's he gonna do? Where's he gonna, where's he gonna play? He can't. He can't now. Then the last one we have for this week is Shadow King versus Dracula. And Dracula wins. So if you're finding that you're running into a lot of Shadow Kings, I don't personally, but if for some reason Shadow King's annoying you, Dracula, you can count on him. Valkyrie annoying you, Dracula, similarly, you can count on him. And why is this? Because Dracula consumes at the end of the last turn. It's like Dark Dimension. Nothing can be done about it. It's going to happen after the fact. So Dracula will bite, he will buff, and then Shadow King will have already done his reduction. Similarly, Valkyrie will already have done her reduction, so Dracula will win. It's kind of like how we've talked about Dracula beats Shang-Chi for similar reasons. Mm-hmm. Dracula will also beat card reducers like Shadow King and Valkyrie.
It's similar with like Captain Marvel beat Shang-Chi because it happens after the reveal.
Yeah.
It's all about language.
Yeah. And then Dracula also works in the location we were talking about with Quantum Realm because he'll turn into a 2, who cares? It's just like Necrotia or something like that where he turns negative, only that's positive. That number will erase anyway. As soon as he bites whatever he bites, he becomes that. So Dracula is actually a good one for Quantum Realm. So if you find yourself in a situation where you're playing a Dracula-based deck and, oh shit, Quantum Realm came up, boom. That's where you want to play Dracula.
Yeah, Dracula is immune to basically most locations except for like Corner Tunnel, which would...
Right, that would flip him back in, yeah. I'm waiting until they make like fucking somebody that shoots like some sunlight out their fingies or some shit, and Dracula's just like, I'm melting!
I'm surprised they don't have like a Blade character that...
I mean, they have Blade, but he doesn't do anything about Drac.
That's why I say a Blade character.
Oh, I see what you mean, yeah.
Series.
Yeah. I don't know... I don't even know who they
I don't know who they use, but...
What was the dude's name? The Whistler? Whistler? Was that the old guy? Him come in and just throw a fucking light grenade. Bye, Dracula. But yeah, that's pretty much counterculture for this week, and we will be back with some community decks. Alright, so we're back with some community decks. The first one is a Bast deck by AlienFlames. This one's, so I pulled Bast this week. A lot of people pulled Bast this week, and we were all collectively like, that's weird, right? Because, like, me, Alien, and a few other guys and streamers and whatnot, we were all like, "Hey, you got it too? You got it too? You got him too? You got her too? What?" And so it was basically like a case of like we all were opening reserves for like a pool 4 that week or pool 5 or whatever, and we all got fucking bassed, and we were just like, "That's weird. Did they like mess up the RNG?" But not everyone got bass, so I know it wasn't everyone. But it seems like the RNG might have been a little like lopsided to bass for some reason. That said, this deck's pretty cool. It's got Hood, Bast, Forge, Zabu, Ironheart, Wolfsbane, Brood, Silver Surfer, Mr. Negative, Shang-Chi, Iron Man, and Sarah. Mr. Negative is pretty much there for Iron Man. And for Ironheart, and for Wolfsbane. I mean, I guess Brood a little bit too. Maybe even Silver Surfer. Oh, hell, he's there for everybody. And then I guess Bast is there for anybody, else. So you play Bast, and Hood's now a 3 instead of a -2. So then you get a +9 from Hood, right? Hood and the Demon. Right? And then Forge becomes a 3, right? Zabu becomes a 3. And like any card that's in hand at the time Bast is played becomes a 3. Bast bounce decks are actually kind of fun too, because you can make everything work with Cerebro in that sense.
Bast would be nice for the Morbius, because it's a 0. So like,
True.
if you can buff him to a 3,
True.
and then he gets buffed on top of it.
Yeah, I could see that. But yeah, so the goal of this deck is pretty much just to buff stuff in hand, get negative out as soon as you can, and then get energy with Sarah, then dump a bunch of cards and play Iron Man, and then Shang-Chi to take out anything bigger than you. I mean, it's a pretty damn effective deck. I had a lot of fun with it, playing like some viewer battles with it and trying to get the hang of it. The only thing is, when you don't get negative early, you don't get Iron Man really in any effective way or as effectively, but it's still pretty damn strong. And the second deck we have is from Turtle408. It's their take on the meta deck, but with Sauron. And Sauron is like a pool 4/5 card that removes the abilities of all, like ongoing abilities of all cards that are in your deck or hand, like everywhere. So I think let me double check. So I have the bot. He's pool 5, 3/3. On reveal, remove the abilities from all ongoing cards in your hand and deck. Yes, so I was correct. So, I mean, that's pretty nasty. That's a guaranteed way for Red Skull to not have it. You know what I mean? Like, you don't even have to worry about zero. It's a guaranteed way for Ebony Maw to just be powerful. It's a guaranteed way for Lizard to stay 5. You know, it's a guaranteed way for Typhoid Mary to be a +10 without reducing you. You know what I mean? Like, this is a solid version. A solid version of the Red Skull meta that's super popular right now, that we've had versions of in previous weeks of decks that I've been running of that meta. This, wow. You get Sauron out there on turn 3, all that stuff is just like juicy now. So like what you'd probably want to do is try to play Sunspot 0 Titania for your first like 2 turns, and then play like Sauron after that, because everything else needs Sauron. But those 3 cards, if you play them in that order, Sunspot 0 Titania for your first 2 turns, they you know,
well, I mean,
have max effect.
Sunspot you could play at any point because it's not an ongoing.
That's true. I'm just more looking at the fact that for this deck, there are no other cards to play those turns.
True.
So,
true.
like, the ideal draw would be if you could play Sunspot, then play 0 Titania, because then in 2 turns you'd have put down 9 points of power. You could still drop Ebony Maw for 7. Now, one of the weaknesses is going to be Killmonger for those cards, but considering you're going to be dropping a 10 Mary or a 15 Skull with no negative, you know, and then you can still do She-Hulk Taskmaster. I mean, you can literally, if you ramp it the right way and you go Sunspot 0 Titania and then Sauron. Now on turn 4 you can just go Typhoid Mary. Turn 5 you can drop Red Skull. You know, turn 6 you can drop She-Hulk, or you can drop Taskmaster, or you can drop Arrow if you're leading 2 lanes. Or alternatively you can, you know, do all that same stuff, go to Sauron, drop Typhoid Mary, not have Red Skull and Taskmaster in hand, skip not have Red Skull and Zola in hand, skip, and then go She-Hulk Taskmaster turn 6. So I mean, it has all the classic curves and outs and all that of the Red Skull meta deck, but with that like additional insurance of the Sauron kind of making it a little more valuable. But that said, the Sauron spot is kind of the Shuri spot, so it's a different take on it, where you try to have less negative effects versus try to just get one big card. And I think that can be effective. You could put more power down overall each turn, so it'll come out about the same as if you played Shuri anyway. The third deck we have is another AlienFlames deck, and this is his Negative Galactus 2.0. So this one has Adam Warlock, Psylocke, Zabu, Mystique, Killmonger, Negative, Shuri, Absorbing Man, Spider-Man, Iron Man, Null, and Galactus. Man, that's a lot of mans in there in the middle. Man. But yeah, so this one's kind of like where we were talking earlier about if you Absorbing Man a Galactus, you can play Galactus somewhere like a Teehee or as a juke or a feint, and then you can play Absorbing Man where you really want that. And the advantage there too is Absorbing Man is already a 3 power, so he's already got more power than Galactus, and he can just copy Galactus's ability, so you've got that going for you. But if you were to play Mr. Negative and then draw Galactus, I mean, you're looking at a 2/6, now you really got something going there. You play Iron Man at a 0/5, now you've got 6/5 doubled. I mean, you can make a pretty big number with just 3 cards played. So similar to the Shuri, Hobby, and Galactus play, this one you would try to go negative and then finish with Iron Man Galactus, or go negative and then you could still Shuri and then Galactus, and then, you know, Iron Man for even more effect, because you make Galactus a 12 and Iron Man would, you know, buff himself to 10, and then so you'd have, you know, 34 points right there just from that. The only thing is you got to make sure you don't play them both the same turn, obviously. So you're going to want to make sure that you plan that out and the turn order well enough with Mr. Negative that you get Galactus out alone, or Galactus copied into Absorbing Man alone, and then you drop, you know, a fat like Null if Null costs 0, you know, it has 6 plus all the other, so Null can get even more powerful. You've got Mystique there. If she costs 0, I mean, you could really do some damage on turn 6. The downside is if you do not draw Mr. Negative, you're not in a good way with this deck. Yes, you have Shuri and you have Galactus still, but tell me which one of those cards you're buffing that makes you feel comfortable, because I don't know what it is. Like,
yeah, I can't.
Yeah. So that's the one weakness of the deck, is you do have to pull Mr. Negative. Whereas the Galactus deck I showed for community or for Super Squads decks of the week, that one, if you don't draw like the Shuri card, you still have another curve. You know, if you don't draw the specific this card, you have another curve. There's actually 3 curves. This one might have multiple ways to do it, but they're all based off of one card, which means you have to get that card out, and there's no deck stuffers, no nothing. So like, part of the key to making that happen is getting your Adam Warlock out on a leading lane early, but that's hard to do when your smallest cards are the same cost as him, and, you know, etc., etc. So it can get really hard to try to get Mr. Negative out with this deck. It works, but it only works like one way, and for me, I'm not a big fan of those kind of decks. But that said, Alien did play it very effectively against me, and he's always been a fan of like Mr. Negative decks. So if you are good and comfortable with Mr. Negative decks, you probably can make this work. If you're not, and things like having to draw one specific card to win scares you, like it does me, then this is definitely not a deck for you.
Anybody that's trying to play remotely competitive, that kind of deck could maybe scare them, unless they like really.
Yeah, and I mean, Alien's an infinite player, so I mean, if he's comfortable with it, it should work. It's
but if you can strategize quicker, like,
yeah, which he can,
if you don't get the right curve.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he's a lot better at that than I am, for sure. But I think that is it for community decks.
All right. Well, if this is going to be a podcast segment, and I'll let
Yeah.
you take the wheel.
Well, I mean, yeah. So we just got like a little bit of extra news today. I first saw it because Nina is noob had retweeted it with like a highlighted section, you know, to kind of just put emphasis on we get 50 cubes every time we rank up. So like if you're at 30 the first time each season, you hit like 40 or 50 or etc. Eat just the first time, you get plus 50 cubes. And I think that's so it doesn't feel so hollow to rank up, because you're like, yeah, you get 10, but someone snaps on you, and the higher up you are, like for me, you're facing infinite players when you're not, and they're going to be more likely to snap just because they can. That 10 cubes is kind of meaningless to me. Or in the case of I got stream sniped, that's kind of meaningless to me. But 50 cubes, that's cool. Now, it's not the MMR fix we were looking for, but it does alleviate some situations that did happen to me this past time. And I know it's not exactly, hey, if you peak at a certain rank, you'll be guaranteed to stay there. But you definitely have better odds with another 50 cubes than you did with 10. That's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Let's call that a sneak peek into your thoughts, because I want to have this debate, but I also want to ask you a question. I also really want to ask you a question.
All right.
So Smokey, today marks the end in an hour and 2 minutes. Marks the end of the current season into the Quantum Realm.
Yep.
Overall, how would you rate the season?
Aggravating. I mean, wait, what? I mean,
to elaborate.
Well, okay, so like I spent next to no time with MODOK on like the beginning, running like a MODOK disco, and I got all the way to like diamond, and that took like no time. Then I swapped it to like the Red Skull Shuri meta, but like a different take on it, and it was working pretty well, and I got like all the way to vibranium. And then I kind of just got stuck there, and I was always facing like infinites with like just tech decks, like just pure tech decks, because they don't have anything to lose or gain, so they can just run pure counters, because if it works, cool, and if it doesn't, oh well. And I've noticed a lot of infinite players that don't have Thanos per se, like run very, very like wide and not very like tall at all decks, and even the width of the cards can be sometimes limited. Like I've watched some players, you know, that are in infinite win with like less than 12 on locations frequently, and it's like, okay, that's cool, but players that are trying to ladder up and rank up have to face like a lot of different things that make that not an enticing situation. And so I feel like I kept walking into, at some points, just a string of Shang-Chi players or infinites who could bluff that they were holding Shang-Chi, and there's nothing I can do about that other than go, well, I'm not losing 8 cubes instead of 1 just to find that out, or losing 4 cubes instead of 1 just to find that out. So that was part of the aggravation, and I think like that's more to the point of like plus 50 cubes for hitting a new level is not gonna fix MMR. You know, because like 50 cubes is cool, but it'd be cooler if I wasn't facing people that are like unable to D-rank or lose. You know, so I think it would have been better if they just made it so that we don't D-rank once you hit a threshold. It's like, I get that they're afraid people are gonna abuse the game and snap willy-nilly, but it's like, if you can't keep people who can do that, infinite players, out of the player pool for everybody else, then all you're doing is saying certain players can do it and others can't, and that's kind of like, why draw the line there? That's a little weird, and that's going to alienate players that don't make infinite.
Yeah, no, I so this was the first season where I decided to say basically fuck it, we ball, and see how fast I could get to infinite on the ladder. And I would say at the very beginning of the season, it was a varied climb, I saw a lot of different decks. I saw a lot of different play styles. I saw a lot of different like stuff just going up the ladder. And the closer I got to the very top, the more I would see uniformity,
Yeah.
which is a commonality in a lot of games because people want to hit that top rank and they're going to do whatever they can to do that.
Yeah.
But the issue comes about when that's two decks, and that's all you're seeing is those two decks.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are complaining currently with the with two things. Honestly, and it's a two-sided complaint, right? Because it's they can't keep neutering cards because then the game's not fun.
Yep.
But at the same time, they keep neutering cards that are too strong in the meta and are seeing prominent, displays in play.
Yeah.
Like Zabu and Leader and Silver Surfer, they all got their just desserts because that's what everybody was playing.
Yeah.
And there was barely any variation. I would say that the meta is a lot better now without them. But the issue comes with the rate at which they introduce cards and the rate at which people are acquiring new cards, which varies so heavily.
And then there's like the fact that, like you're saying, you see like two decks. So one of those decks is just flat out Thanos all the time, every time, 90% of the time, 60% of the time, all the time. He's the Sex Panther of the Snap world. It's ridiculous. And I have no problem with like facing Thanos. That's whatever. I can beat him with Galactus, not all the time, but enough. But the issue for me is really just that, is the game supposed to be get one card from the shop, play that card, doesn't really matter anything else, cool, you win? Or, and the only other decks I really were seeing were mirrors of mine, because that's the other meta, the Red Skull meta. Like, granted, mine was a slightly different take on it, so I didn't have like Zero or something like that, but there was other takes too, like some people had the Sauron version, stuff like that. But other than slight variance in it, it's basically Shuri Red Skull deck, and then She-Hulk Taskmaster. Like, those are the 4 signature cards, and everything else is like a support network for that, based on maybe you're missing this or that card, or maybe you don't like a certain playstyle. But it was a shell for that curve, and it's not healthy for the game to limit it to basically two playstyles. I think, like, you look at other games, like I always like to think of Overwatch and how the devs introduced a character that broke the game and could never fix it, and rather than just like take the character back out until they could, or completely rework it, Brigitte still exists and still sucks. And like, the only thing that fixed it was when they released a game that was 5v5 instead of 6v6, and they literally had to change that whole thing. They had to change the whole game, the way it had been played for years, just because one character got introduced. And so, I mean, I don't want to see that kind of a thing happen in Snap, where everybody's playing Thanos because Thanos got introduced, and like, they just buffed him, and it's like, I think you missed the assignment on that there, second dinner.
Yeah, well, so here's the thing, right? Is I feel like Snap doesn't have a public beta environment.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things that League of Legends does really, really well. Is they allow people to see what they're going to be changing ahead of time for a good period of time.
Yeah.
And there's also the fact that you have like set patch and release dates, so people know when something is going to come out. Yeah. You also have to release what's going to be changing early enough for people to like have a response to it.
Yeah.
Because I mean, the thing with the Thanos change was it made playing Thanos easier, right? But that's not the real reason people are playing the Thanos deck. The real reason people are playing the Thanos deck is to deal with Arrow and Shuri.
Yeah.
And then, it deals well with them. That early turn 4 leech is a deck killer.
Yep. And the real thing with Thanos too, other than being able to pull out leech that early, is simply Quinjet, and now I can play everything, and cool, I win. And it's not necessarily mindless, because you have to keep track of a lot of moving parts, but it's not exactly like, it's not the feeling of, oh man, I'm really dueling this player, and we're really, oh my god, what's he gonna do, what I'm gonna do? Or it's more just like, oh look, it's all the stones, and well, there's gonna be Thanos, so fuck it, I guess I'm gone from this one. Or like, And I just kind of feel like that's not in the spirit of the game, like, and it like ironically puts the power of the snap in the Thanos player hands, which I mean lore wise okay, but other than that doesn't really do it for me.
Yeah, it's a weird situation to be in right now because Thanos is supposed to be a very hard card to procure,
Yeah.
and there's nothing wrong with playing Thanos.
No, I love Thanos.
I see you in the chat.
If I had him, if I had him, I'd play him. Don't get me wrong, and I'm definitely not shit talking Thanos. I'm just speaking to having seen him like 5,000 times in like.
And I would not say he's too strong either.
No,
What I would say is the combination that you can do with him
mm-hmm.
is strong in certain senses,
yeah.
and the fact that the overall pieces come together very nicely,
mm-hmm.
and that's how they wanted it to be, right?
Yeah, and I think like with the stones, and Quinjet, going back to that, the issue is really more just the fact that they do not count as deck cards, so they're automatically reduced in cost, and so you can just like play them for free after Quinjet, play them on Lockjaw, pull the other ones out, and it makes it a very like easy process to do what a couple months ago was actually really hard for Thanos players for the most part, because you had fewer people completing pool 3, so you had fewer Thanos players that had a Quinjet. So you had more Thanos players trying to play one-cost cards, and it was harder for them. And I also feel kind of like this, like the adjustment to Thanos where they gave him more power almost is like addressing that problem from like 2 months ago, and not, So I feel like sometimes Second Dinner's like behind the curve a bit, and that goes back to what you're saying about like having a healthy beta. And it's hard. It's going to be hard to do with this game because it goes at such like a breakneck speed, like 1 month, and events are like for a couple weeks and everything. But they could still pull it off. They could still do a healthy beta. They just would have to make sure that this stuff is planned 4 seasons in advance or something, so that the farthest 2 seasons out are being tested while the other ones are rolling through. But I mean, that seems like asking a lot right now, because they seem to really only have about 2 months of product ahead at any given moment, if the data mines are accurate to that.
Yeah, and here's what I think the issue is. So Ben Brode comes from Hearthstone, and Hearthstone has releases a new season every calendar month as well.
Yeah.
So I think that was one of the reasons that they decided to pull that over here.
Right.
But Marvel Snap is a fundamentally different game.
Yeah.
Cards are coming out too fast to fit with the season model.
Mm-hmm.
They can't change the cards fast enough to keep up with the meta.
Yep.
And when they do finally get a change out, people have already stopped playing those decks.
Yeah.
Or those decks are no longer prominent.
Yeah.
Like they nerfed Silver Surfer, and because they nerfed Silver Surfer was one of the reasons why people were not playing Thanos decks.
Right.
Because you would get Killmongered.
Right.
Yeah.
And
it's not like the fundamental design of the Thanos like archetype has changed at all.
No.
You have a bigger 6-piece, but
it's the environment around it that's changed.
The local meta has turned into a game of Giganto versus Giganto, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
And
biggest tallest card versus the biggest tallest card, and maybe duplicate it.
And aside from Killmonger killing off Quinjet and the Stones, they don't really care about anything that you're doing in that regard, right?
Yeah, I mean, and then the effects themselves. So I was in Code Deco's chat last night, and I guess this morning, and they were talking about Thanos, and they're pretty well versed in Thanos, and they've got like the highest ladder rank in Snap, and they're pretty chill. And their whole thing about it was like, some of the cards themselves, like the Space Stone, are just, it's free, and the power on it is ridiculous. And their main point they made when they were talking about that, and I think it was Demo specifically that made the point of the two of them, was that no other card actually can do that. No other card, no other character specifically has that ability. Where like with the Reality Stone, it's a free Scarlet Witch versus like you could play Scarlet Witch for 2 and still accomplish the same thing with a different deck. It's that some of these stones have super powerful effects that in order to duplicate, you would have to spend more energy than there is in the game. And I get that that's part of Thanos' toolkit, but I think with Quinjet, that just makes him too powerful. And so I was saying in their chat last night, honestly, I feel like they need to just make the stones count as deck cards, even though they don't start in the deck. And they said, yeah, they really should, because that would balance their ability to, like, you know, play these super powerful cards. But even then, Demo said, you know, the thing is, Space Stone's still way too damn powerful. And I think that's kind of the issue, is that Thanos can do some things for such big effects that, in the case of the Space Stone, nobody can even play another card that can do that.
Right. And you're not really stopping there's not anything in the game right now that can stop them from doing their thing.
Yeah.
And, you know, you can make the argument that, you know, Sandman exists, or, you know, Arrow exists. All those Cosmo exists. However, it takes time to get those cards out.
Yeah, and it costs while they're doing all this for free. So they're able to put down a taller lane, and you're just playing catch up the whole time.
Right, but I don't want to sit here and harp on Thanos the entire night.
No.
So going back to the original question, you know, asking you how you felt about the previous season and stuff like that. What would you say, like, what was the best part about the season for you?
When I got Galactus, and then I could just beat up on people that were infinite instead of them beating up on me. That was fun.
Yeah, and I mean that also obviously bleeds into the problem of MMR, but I feel like our audiences are probably tired of us talking about that at this point.
Oh yeah.
You know, I know you've been very vocal about it on your side of the river.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I just felt it was nice to have a card that, like, could compete with what I was going against.
Yeah. You don't mind more MMR talk? All right, we'll talk more MMR.
Technically, the 50 cubes is MMR talk, because, I mean, that's a band-aid to the larger problem. And I was telling you, I thought it was like, it felt like they were trying to put something in the game that doesn't give them too much tech debt to pull back out when they put the real solution in, because it seems like something they could just, like, change the variable on, you know, like, okay, instead of 10 it's 50, haha, I changed a 1 to a 5, you know?
100%.
But
and I think,
go ahead.
I think this bleeds into the fact that Second Data really likes to say, we hear you, here's something unrelated to tide you over. You know, here's a little something that can help you out in the interim. We hope this makes you happy for the time being while we try to figure out how to get this together. Yeah,
pretty much.
Because it's a big issue, you know. And the solution I said that they could come up with is they just need to do soft MMR resets.
Yeah.
You know, they need to average out MMRs at the beginning of every season. You know, so people that are at infinite will get significantly closer to whatever median point they want, and the people that are already close to that median point might actually get a boost.
Yeah. So, I mean, I've had this thing on my shelf for like weeks, because a healthy bell curve versus what we have now. Top, healthy bell curve. Bottom, what we have now, and it's not good.
Yeah. And if you guys haven't had a chance to now, I definitely recommend you guys go check out Educated Collins's new video on MMR. He does a very good job he has a past one as well that's also a very good explanation into what the biggest issue is, especially for those people that are sitting at the current highest level in the game, the highest level. You know, like me and you, we can hit infinite, but there are people that have been hitting infinite since beta, and hitting infinite every season.
Collins was great at Hearthstone before he was even playing Snap, and before Snap existed. So I mean, he's a talented guy. I think he was in the Rivals thing for Hearthstone the last time even. So I mean, he's a talented,
he's a very talented player for sure. And he has a lot of very good information that I think everybody that's serious on climbing or playing should take a look at. But he basically mentions that, you know, there's some people in this game that have MMR so high it's impossible for them to, you know, you have a good climb. They will always hit infinite within the first couple days because they're going to be playing more bots than people. You know, and it's a common issue that's constantly brought up that needs to be reviewed.
Yep.
And so, there's that, but
there's also the flip side, like Dee's talking about, where they, in Dee's case, we're talking 40, the rank 40 is where like Dee's not cracking, and I'm over here like, oh my god, I finally made it to Omega playing Infinites, and Dee's like, cool story, I have the same problem and I can't crack 40.
Yeah, the biggest issue, and this is evident by the fact that you can be in pool 2 facing pool 3 people.
Yeah, it is a strange
if
thing,
you manage to have a high enough win rate.
Yeah, and
that's
Kat, who's in my chat, she was playing on a Smurf account, bought one season pass card, and then hit CL600. Now she's in your chat. Hit CL600, and all of a sudden, just like everybody was like, every card of ever, just everybody was high ranked, and it's like, I bought Zabu.
And they've been very vocal about the fact. They've been very vocal about that fact.
Yeah.
After you hit 600, the floodgates open.
Yeah, and that's like
that's
not
way
right.
Too low now.
Yeah, that's not right.
That should be that floor should be raising every season, because the average collection level of players is going up every season.
Like, and they should either raise it by the average collection level of the player base, or they should raise it by, we're releasing X cards per month. X cards at X pool times 40 is blah, 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 blah. Okay, then the average CL from that and blah, blah. Like, they could do some math with that too and make it anchored to the number of cards they keep introducing, which would address one of the issues we've talked about already, which is the speed at which cards come out. And now Kat's saying at 60, bought Thanos and then climbed straight to Infinite, which, again, I wasn't trying to harp on Thanos. It's just that I'm very familiar because of Kat and the information she's given me about MMR and climbing this season on 2 different accounts. I'm like, okay, literally get Thanos, win. And like I said, for me, what was the highlight of the season for me? I finally got Galactus, and I got Galactus and it was like, GG, I'm permanently the America Chavez thumbs up now. Like, everybody can suck it, I'm gonna win. That's how it felt,
My Thanos feelings have been hurt.
Hell no, confused kid. If I had Thanos, I'd be playing Thanos. Look, if I wasn't a potato, I would play him. If I wasn't a potato.
Thanos pinned right now. Oh, you're not a potato, Smokey.
Oh, I'm too potato for that. That's like too many moving parts. I don't have short-term memory because it's like autism, so that's a lot of moving parts. I'd be like, wait, which stones did I play? Oh shit, I forgot one. I lost. Damn it. Whereas Galactus, it's like 3 cards, win. 3 cards, win.
And that bleeds into another issue Snap has with no unranked mode, because you don't have the chance to get to know your deck.
Exactly.
Without the threat of cube loss.
Yep. And I think that's a bit of an issue. And they did say that this plus 50 cubes thing is so that people could, quote, experiment a little more, but nobody's going to do that. The 50 cubes is already like, wow, all right, that's a band-aid. I needed that just to breathe. So now that I can breathe, I can climb. Nobody's going to switch decks because they got 50 cubes.
What it's going to do is it's going to promote faster climbing.
Yep.
And when the season starts to come to a close, people that push to that higher tier can say, I can actually play a couple games.
Yeah.
Without having to worry about falling out of the tier.
Yeah.
That's basically it.
Yeah.
It's because a lot of people were very vocal this season, especially about the fact that they weren't able to play after they hit a new tier, because they felt like they were going to lose all the progress that they had just made because the climb was so hard.
Yeah. And I'd pointed out a few times on Twitter, in threads with streamers that tend to be friendlier and listen as opposed to be like elitist. I'm not going to name any names in the negative direction, but in the positive direction, Nina is Noob. She's been very helpful with that sort of information and trying to spread that on Twitter. And I think that's been like very helpful because I think the thread that I showed you from the dev from Second Dinner about the 50 cubes, where they basically admit, we know there's a bigger issue. We're working on it. This is our stopgap. She had tagged him specifically like, hey, people are saying this is only for like levels 1 through 50. Can you verify? And he's like, no, this is for everybody. So she's done a very good job of making sure that the community is informed, but additionally, like making sure that the devs know what we want. And I think that's been huge because a lot of people have been feeling comfortable enough talking to her about, yeah, I ranked up and got stuck and haven't played in a while. And, you know, that's helpful. It's big help.
It's just one of those things that tells you like this game is they've built this game to only be played competitive, but the competitive scene isn't balanced currently.
Yeah.
And they need a way to
yeah
allow people to not only play without the stress of losing queues, but test if they want to test, play what they want to play when they want to play, and not feel like they need to watch their every move.
Yeah.
But hit it on the block. To answer your question, and Kat just did a little bit there. We'll just go into this for a bit because it's actually, we've been talking about it a lot, so it's good for us to explain it. MMR stands for matchmaking rating. A lot of online games use this as a way of showing exactly where people stand versus each other.
Yep.
Your MMR typically does not change very much.
No.
When you first start playing the game, it gets a determined like averaged out number, and whatever scale that they've decided to do it on, and it can go up or down. It usually doesn't go up very fast, but it can go down very fast.
Unless you face someone that way outclasses you, then it might go up quickly.
Yeah, and you have to do that constantly. You have to be constantly placing against people that are on much higher MMR than you for it to go up high. The issue is a lot of people would not like it if their MMR was shown. And that is the reason why you typically don't see MMR and people just talk about it.
Yeah.
It's because it's not a number that grows with every game.
Yeah.
You'll play a game, you might even think it was one of the hardest games you've ever played, and it may not move.
Yeah. And it's not like chess where people will be civilized and not toxic, so they can show you the MMR, which in chess is ELO, and that was invented by Hungarians, my people. Yeah. So I'm something of an expert. No, not really.
It's very common for people to hide MMR behind ranks. So, you know, like you have Galactic, Omega, Vibranium, all those are ranks to hide your actual MMR. Those can change as much as you want, and it's a way to show that you're making progress, but your MMR might not actually be doing, and usually isn't doing as much fluctuating as
it's like the belt system in martial arts in America, like North American martial arts. Like I remember my grandmaster, he was like, yeah, this belt system, we didn't actually have that. Americans don't understand without some sort of like system of advancement. And we're like, huh. Because, you know, like he even made the old like Karate Kid style joke about like he just has a belt to hold up his pants.
Yeah, I mean it's a necessary system though, because if they based your ranking primarily off of your visible rank, you would have no way of actually pairing up people correctly. Because a person could decide to sit in a rank, and just be there the entire time, and you would just have to keep going against that person, whether they're better than you or not, or whether they should be higher because they chose to be at that rank. So MMR is supposed to help it balance out in that regard. But the issue that's coming into play here is that your MMR is so much more weighted than your shown rank that you're probably not playing against people that you should be playing against.
And you're not getting the rewards that you should be getting for being as good as you are, which is unfortunate. It's like I get people like Mal and Alien going, man, you should be infinite. And it's like, well, I mean, tell me about it, but I don't get the chance, because it's like being at the poker table where, you know, you're in the tournament and maybe it's not going so well. Or look at like the battle mode where you're down and it's getting in those high stakes games and you're just like, fuck, if he snaps, I got to retreat. Because if he snaps, you're out. And so like that means like now you have to play more of your best hands, your best curves. You can take fewer chances just to be able to not walk into a snap backwards. And I think, you know, that's probably the main issue that they'd have to solve in order to really even things out, because there's a reason why people like me and Confused Kid or Cat on, you know, all accounts and stuff are facing people that are way higher rank in terms of visible rank than we are, is because our MMR is definitely way higher, but at the same time our gains are not enough to display that because we get bullied a lot. or whatever by the fact that we are playing those higher ranks.
Yeah. But I don't want to stay negative for too long.
No. I just think that's the issue they're going to have to fix that the 50 cubes doesn't address.
Agreed. 100% agreed. I think pretty much everybody is definitely in agreement with that.
Yeah.
That viewpoint.
I think the nice thing, though, is that they said they're trying to address it in a larger sense. So I think the thing we were all worried most about was, are you doing anything? Because it wasn't on the roadmap. And they're pretty good about giving us a roadmap of like events and of like known bugs, known issues. But MMR was never, you scroll through the known issues list, it's like, okay, where's matchmaking? Oh, shit. I guess they think it's fine. So, like, the fact that they're, like, being vocal about it at this point, I think is good, because we were worried about the longevity of the game and the health of the game in the long term if they didn't address it. It's not so much you got to fix it right now, but you need to at least, like, address the elephant in the room. Be like, all right, it's over there. We know it keeps shitting in the corner. We're going to clean it up.
Right. And I think that that's a fundamental issue with the design of the game, unfortunately. But I will say that Secondary has been very good at making sure that things get fixed.
Yeah.
And a lot of their solutions have been well received, I would say.
Yeah.
There's always going to be people that will rag on things that they don't like.
I mean, Token Tuesdays, that's great.
We get more ways to get tokens. We asked for more ways to get tokens. They gave us more ways to get tokens.
Yeah, they heard what we said. Look, we're not buying these for the art. We're buying them for the tokens. Can we have more tokens? And they're like, oh, sure. Really? You'll just buy flat out? Okay. It's like, what do you mean we'll buy them flat out? Of course. I feel like a Girl Scout like knocking on my door, afraid to sell me the cookies. Like, no, I want to buy them. Give me the cookies. I'm going to eat them all. Like, before you leave. In fact, come back tomorrow.
Girl Scout cookies are the real drug in society, let's be honest.
Right? Collector's tokens and Girl Scout cookies. My God.
Definitely on the same level there, for sure. But all right, I think that's enough of that conversation. What do you think? I think we can move on to the next topic. Yeah. Because I have questions in regards to how you feel about the new season.
I feel pretty good about the synergy with my current deck and Nimrod.
Yeah.
That's pretty nice. I don't necessarily need Electro, so he might be out. Nimrod might be in.
Yeah, I saw a Shuri Nimrod Galactus build on Reddit the other day, and I was like, oh man, that's gonna be fun to play for sure. You can end up with a 22 lane if you do it right. Of the Galactus in play, and that's hard for people to beat coming into turn 6. Let's be honest.
And I'm already trying to do the -16 Hobgoblin to him, so I mean, one way or the other, it's gonna get ugly.
You're either gonna have to deal with that, or you're dealing with Nimrod. You gotta choose.
It's like yes, it's gonna get very, very juicy and very nice. And then if it's not a full lane, and it won't be because it'll be 2 of them in Galactus, I'll still get to drop Null or Death or something. I mean. Yikes.
It's 100% going to be funny for sure.
Yeah, Clown, Shuri, Hobgoblin. That's my favorite combo in the game.
The Clown special.
Yep, Shang-Chi shows up like, I don't know what to do here. Like, I just.
That's on your side of the board, Phil. That's your ally. You can't deal with that.
Isn't this guy our friend? Okay, he just ate you, so I'm not really sure, but I can't punch him for that, right? I mean, like, I feel very bad for Shang-Chi in those situations.
No dragons here.
Right?
Yeah, but I personally am looking forward to Master Mold.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting
I have a Ronin list that I am just can't wait. If I see him in my shop, he's getting pinned immediately. Once I finally amassed enough collector's tokens to get Thanos, because I gotta get that one first. For no reason entirely. Don't think too much about it, guys.
Yeah, Master Mold's going to be pretty interesting. I think, D looks pretty hyped for the Ronin Master Mold. That seems like something Clown would like too. Yep, Clown just decided to play Ronin again.
I've been trying to make Ronin good for so long, and this is going to make that deck list better.
Right.
It's going to make that deck list so much better. We can take out Baron Mordo because he's not really doing much. Let's be honest. I'm sorry to say it to him. But he's not helping very much,
And then when
in a lot of cases, he's hurting. Yeah, and with Master Mold, you can play Darkhawk too in that list, So it's everybody gets to benefit a little bit there. It's gonna be a fun list for sure, I think.
Yeah.
But
I'm looking forward to some of those cards for the season after this.
what's the one after this one? Do we have a name
Monkey.
for it yet?
Yeah, it's gonna be
Hitmonkey. Yes.
There's gonna be Jeff the Land Shark, and it's like all those times when you're like, haha, Professor X, and then you're like, son of a bitch, if I just had like 2 more power. Well, now you can just throw Jeff the Land Shark over there and nothing can be done about it. So that's kind of nice.
I just want a Viper Negasonic Teenage Warhead. Wait,
I want to see that happen, to be honest. I want to knock them onto the other side and just blow up everything. That would be great.
I don't think that's how that works, but
I don't either, but I want to try it because it just sounds fun.
I'm pretty sure the effect is if once another card is played here, destroy this card that card.
Yeah, when any card is played here, destroy this card and that card. Yeah.
So yeah, that effect activates on both sides of the field.
Yeah.
If a card is played at the location. So whether your opponent plays one or you play one.
Yeah, so technically you don't even need to do that. That's just an extra step because it's already going to be a mine.
Yeah, it's a mine or a mind game.
Yeah.
Because you can put that down basically trying to it's a card version of Rickety Bridge, but it only destroys one card.
Yeah.
It only destroys one card though.
People sleep on Baron. Yeah, sure, Iceman makes a card cost 1 more, but Baron means you can only play it on 6. I mean, that's true, but I feel like if you never know what you hit.
The problem I have with Baron is the fact that they are drawing a card.
That's true too, especially
they get to draw a card, and it could be a 6 cost that they are drawing.
True.
You're thinning their deck for them.
That's
the problem with Baron. Like the best case scenario is you hit a 1-drop. Or a card. The best case scenario is you hit a card that they wanted to play.
Yeah.
But there's so many worst case scenarios in that. So.
And like when I've played them in like battles and stuff against people, I'll be like, yeah, this is a card I'm going to play now, and then I'll play out the match, and I'll be like, okay, I don't really, whatever. But then afterwards, they'll be like, man, you were really screwing me with Baron, and I was like, really? I couldn't tell. You know, it's I don't know. I'd rather have like White Queen who can tell me what they're doing versus having Baron who's like I don't know. It feels like Blinken in Men in Tights when he's in the Watchtower. He's like, I think no one's coming. I'm guessing no one's coming. Because I mean,
you don't actually know.
Did. Yeah, you don't know.
You have no way of knowing.
Yeah.
But all right, what else you got, Smokes?
I don't know what would your ideal fix to laddering look like?
My ideal fix?
Yeah. Since the whole thing was started by the 50 cubes thing.
Well, I'll say off the bat, personally, I think that they did a good job with the rank resets and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think the issue comes with the fact that MMR in and of itself is just way too wild right now. I think that you should be only playing people in your tier until you get to the higher portions of your tier. Then you should be playing. You have a chance to play against people outside of your tier. Obviously,
yeah, I agree with that.
I think anywhere within like a 10, like 100 cube range, a 10 rank range should be free game.
Yeah, like if you're at the top of Vibranium about to hit Omega, you could potentially hit somebody that had just been Galactic. Or I mean, just been Infinite and got knocked into Galactic, or I mean, not that they can't get knocked back, but you know what I mean, like.
Well, yeah. So there's that, but I do think, and I think this is a change that they need to implement soon. Infinite players should not be playing against anybody under Infinite.
Yeah, I agree with that. As long as they're not at any risk for the cubes, yeah, they shouldn't, because they can literally bully.
If you're 99, 98, sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But after that point, before that point, you should not have to be even worry about coming against an Infinite player.
Yeah.
And the reason they did that is because there's not enough people at Infinite.
Exactly.
But that's the thing is like if they're an Infinite, and the way that you've designed this game is that after Infinite doesn't really matter, just put them against bots at that point. Just put them against bots at that point.
Exactly.
If after Infinite doesn't matter.
Yeah, that doesn't seem to bother a lot of people. I mean, I know Code Deco, those guys, Cosmo and Demo, have a lot of fun climbing to almost 1100 this season. And
I mean,
they
it
don't care what
ends
they
up being
face.
a cap for the people that enjoy playing the ranked ladder.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
if you enjoy playing the ranked ladder, you don't want to go to infinite.
Yeah.
This season, it was 1 to 4% of players made it to infinite, which was the lowest turnout, I believe, because before that it was somewhere between like 7 to 8%, upwards of like 10%.
Yep.
But this was the lowest percentile of this season, was the people who did hit infinite. So they've made it clear that once you hit infinite, you did it. You hit infinite. Congratulations. You get to do whatever you want at this point. So at that point, don't put me against players. Let the people underneath me have a better time, because they don't have to go against me.
Yeah, like, because I mean, the thing is, and it's not like it's not even a negative thing or anything. It's just a fact of the mathematics is just that they're gonna know more about what the lower players are doing, because the lower players are playing specific ways to try to rank up in ladder. And so that, when I was saying like I would face a lot of tech decks where it's like I wouldn't try to ladder with that because it wouldn't necessarily be effective, but it's effective for them because they know what everybody else is running, essentially trying to get up, so unless they're facing another like infinite player who's experimenting or a bot or whatever, that's exactly the situation. So I think that's a good idea. Just, then you don't have to do too much to the whole MMR system in terms of you don't have to do anything like, okay, only like certain people in certain ranks play each other. You don't have to do anything like major to adjust the MMR or anything like that. And in fact, it becomes like a better band-aid than what they did today, because you can implement a code fix to restrict who they face a lot quicker than you can implement a code fix for like a larger issue with the bell curve,
Right. And okay, so what is it? There's 8 ranks before infinite that matter, right? Because you can't fall below silver. So you can't fall below rank 20. So that's for the people that climb up to 50 minimum, right? Because you drop down 30 cubes at the beginning of the season, regardless of where you are, unless you are, around that silver range, then you're only dropping down to whatever it takes to get you to 20.
Right.
The people falling down those ranks then need to climb back up if they're going to try to get to infinite. Need to climb up whatever gap of cubes they have, and if anywhere in that time period, if they start on a winning streak, their MMR might skyrocket. And if they're going hard enough, they're going to start facing stronger and stronger players, and regardless of where they end up, they have now raised their overall MMR. So when they fall back again, they are now facing harder opponents than when they started their climb the first time. And it's not proportional to whatever rank they end up at. And I think that's a big issue that should need to be fixed. That's why I think the soft reset of MMR would help a lot. For those of you that don't know what a soft reset of MMR does, basically they take a range. So in this game, there's 88 ranks before infinite. So it would probably be gold would be the average. Hey, funny man, what's up? Gold would probably be the average, right? They would average out everybody's overall rank to overall MMR towards gold. That doesn't mean that they reset everybody's MMR to gold. It's just however high your MMR is away from
they take this and put it there.
However far away you are from the average gold MMR, we're going to take that and average that to your MMR, and that's your new MMR.
So they take a bad box whisker where it's like skewed to the bottom and there's like 5 infinite players, and soft reset puts it all right there.
And that would help out immensely with people's climbs almost immediately. But that's significantly harder to implement. So it would take more time to implement. Because you have to figure out.
It takes like a statistician who went to school for stats, and that's all that. It would take a QA person who has like a degree in like just that, probably a graduate degree in just that, and that's probably somebody they don't necessarily employ, offhand. Well, and if they do, that's like a problem. They're gonna have to do a lot of testing, a lot of like modeling, like repeat trials for data, like to just get enough to go, is this a thing? They're gonna have to look at the database for the players, and like we said, the game moves at such a breakneck pace that it's probably really hard for someone, if they do employ that in QA, to like stay on top of it. So I think, yeah, a simpler solution would probably be better.
Yeah, but I mean, that's all I can say.
Yeah.
As far as I think that would fix MMR, and honestly, I'm
Better
looking
than
forward
ideas I
to. I mean, you've been talking about it for a while.
Yeah,
though, you know?
yeah, but
And
my
I
ideas
think
are okay, but that's better actually. I like that. I like that better.
it's a solution that it's not like a unique solution. It's a commonality that a lot of games that have to deal with MMR have to do, because eventually, depending on the size of your player base,
Yeah,
it's going to get out of hand.
yeah,
And we're seeing that.
Yeah, and I think that's part of it too, is the number of players, the growth of the game. That's where, like, if they had a statistician, I don't know whether they do or not, but if they have one employed, that's what they do. That's their whole thing. They're getting so much data so constantly, like it might just, like they're gonna need more time. And I think a solution like that has less tech debt to just put it in the first place. And for anybody in chat that's wondering what tech debt means, that's when a development team implements code to fix a problem that has a larger issue, but they need to fix it as quick as possible, while the players or the users or whatever are still trying to like make use of the software before time runs out, and then nobody cares, or kind of thing. So when they implement a small fix like that, that's something that's now in the code. It's now extra stuff. You could consider it bloat in that sense, because it's not permanently necessary, but they put it in because they need to fix something now. And so then later they're going to have to pull that back out and put in the final fix. And something like what Mal's talking about, or something like this 50 cube fix, is literally, in the 50 cube fix, it's just changing one number. So it's like minimal tech debt. They can just flip the number back and then add the actual fix later. Or in the case of Mal, they'd add one simple function of like, is player X rank or equal, is like S var equal to other var? Yes. Okay. Play. Not requeue, until you match someone in your rank that's not infinite or whatever, right? But those are like minimalistic solutions, so they're not going to put a lot of tech debt. Whereas if you put in like a whole solution, like a whole MMR fix and a whole overhaul, as your quick thing, next time you go to try to fix it, you have to pull that whole thing out, and that's a lot harder to pull out than just like a couple lines, or like the change of one variable number. So that's what tech debt is.
Yep. And they've got a lot right now,
Yeah.
unfortunately. Which I saw somebody talking about it earlier, because Ben Brode put out a post not too long ago, earlier in last week, in regards to changes. And he was talking about Zabu and Silver Surfer. And people were like, wait, why is he talking about Zabu and Silver Surfer? We haven't...
The Agatha tanking, you're right.
We haven't dealt with Zabu and Silver Surfer in the meta since 2 seasons ago, or a season ago. And it's like they have to, you're facing changes. You're getting changes now that were brought to attention a month ago.
Yeah.
Because it takes time to develop.
Yep.
And they have to make sure it works.
Yep. It's definitely not that easy. It's not that easy at all. And especially if they don't want it to have like long-lasting ramifications. I mean, one of the games that has probably the worst tech debt problems is Tarkov, and stuff's always breaking. They're always trying to fix stuff, and it's always breaking back. And it's because they patch up very quick solutions to things, and then it's spidered in, then they got to pull it back out, and it creates larger problems in the end. And I think Ben Brode is trying to avoid that with MMR, since it's such a crucial fix for the game and could be a make or break for the entire thing. So I feel like that's why they're trying to throw little band-aids on it, while telling us, hey, we know it's a bigger issue, and we are addressing it as a bigger issue.
Yeah. And I mean, this is just, again, going back to the model that is Marvel Snap, when they constantly releasing 5 new cards every season.
Yeah.
Or every month, you're getting 5 new cards. It's like ChatGPT.
Right? They have like AI roadmap it.
I'm pretty sure a lot of people wish that they could just do that. Honestly, for a lot of their games development cycles, it would probably make things a lot
That's
easier.
how you end up with Negasonic the Hedgehog warhead. Let the AI do it. Negasonic, Sonic the Hedgehog. Got it. She's gonna have like a blue mohawk.
I don't want to see that picture. That's a picture you've just willed into existence now. Somebody's gonna go to like Ali or something and type that in.
It's gonna be Kat. She's gonna go to the AI later and send it to me. I know it because she sent me some like funny ones of like Hulk, or like she sent me one of like Willem Dafoe as Hulk instead of
oh my god, yeah, I've seen that one a few times.
She was about to open it. I knew. Oh man, I knew. Second we said AI. Willem the Hulk is good.
Willem the Hulk. Oh my gosh. All right. I'm done.
Clown said he's going to put Negasonic in his decks to deal with Thanos. Not bad. And Galactus.
That's not bad at all.
Bad.
I'm wondering if you have priority and Negasonic flips, does she allow your opponent to flip card to flip, or does she immediately destroy the card?
Interesting.
I'm assuming based off of the way that on-reveal effects have been working in regards to that, the card would not get a chance to flip.
That sucks.
So it would be like an answer to Arrow.
And it would also be an answer to Absorbing Man after Galactus if you were trying to avoid that that way. Clown said we're going to learn together.
Yep, we'll do it.
Yep.
And then you'll have an answer to, you can try to Viper that out into that lane, call it a day. But yeah, I mean I'm looking forward to this season. It seems like they have an idea as to what they want to do to fix with the issues going on right now.
Yeah.
And while this is the plus 50 cubes is a stopgap to,
he says Negasonic abs, man. Lol. Oh my god.
That's a pretty decent combo.
That is.
That's a pretty decent combo.
That is like from the mind of the troll player himself.
No, I'm wondering if
abs, man. Oh my god. I'm writing that down for like later so I remember that.
Yeah, I hope we get a roadmap update soon. I hope we get to see a little bit more into their minds of, how they're thinking.
Yeah.
They've been a lot more vocal recently with changes, and I think that's good.
And they did fix Collector Mindscape, so they definitely listen to things.
One thing I will say is I wish they would be more vocal on other platforms, because what I've found out is they are extremely vocal on the Discord and almost silent everywhere else.
Yes, which is why I love how Nina as Noob is like engaging the devs on Twitter like, hey, I'm a big person in your game. Please answer these questions in a place where people will actually look at them. Hi. Kind of thing. I mean, she's not really saying that, but that's what's happening. Yeah.
Because I don't know why they've chosen Discord to be their primary mode of communication.
Yeah, but I mean, social media is kind of in a interesting place at the moment, but
true. But I would say, like, I still personally, if I'm looking for a news article, I'm not looking in Discord for an update, right?
No.
Yeah, I do now because I have to for this game, but that's not like
MarvelSnapZone.com. Thank God for them.
And they could easily download a bot that would just typecast their messages to Twitter or something.
Right.
It's not that hard to make sure that they can get that out to every other platform that they have communities on.
Right.
So, but it's another thing to harp on. But they're doing a lot more communicating overall. So I'll take that.
Oh my god!
At the very least.
I just see Clown playing like Negasonic Absman Gambit Wong. That's his new meta. I just see that now. He's like, I'm destroying whole boards, and I'm like, wow. If you're
putting Wolverine in every deck.
Wolverine in every deck, right? Oh shit! I'm playing Clown in this tournament. Aha! Wolverine and Sabretooth.
I don't even know. Right. I don't need to know what you're playing, Clown. I know exactly what to tech in.
Wolverine, Deadpool, and Sabretooth. Let's go.
All right. We're about to hit reset. It's almost time for the new season.
Hell yeah.
Yep. I wish everybody good luck in their games.
Yes. Good luck in your climbs.
Yep. I have got to take a bathroom break, so I think this is a good time to call it if it's go with you.
Yep. And then catch you on the flip flop.
Yes, sir. We'll get some more viewer games in there, and we can go back to the Smokey versus Malcuvious cycle of war.
I'm ready to lose.
Don't count yourself out yet. You have no idea what I'm going to be playing.
That's true. That is true.
But, all right, Smokey.
Right, it was good.
Always good talking with you.
Yep.
Have a good one.
You too, man. Have a good rest of your stream.
And we will be right back, chat.
We are back with Screen Grabs of the Week. This first one, I called this one Mr. Daba Gobbleina, Mr. Dabalina, Mr. Daba Gobbleina. Because, well, it's a big hobgoblin, and I dropped him like on the exact spot where there was like one space because of Daredevil, right? And then they copied like She-Hulk with Taskmaster. That was their big thing, and I didn't even need to play Galactus to win. Just Hobgoblin got it done, and so I wanted to have this one in the rotation for Screen Grabs, because this illustrates the strength of the deck. Even when you don't get the curve, you can still pull it off sometimes.
Yeah.
The next one I called Tag Team Back Again, because obviously Galactus and Null are like, the tag team duo, right? But the funny part about this is there was a Plunder Castle, so I was never not gonna win. There was just always gonna be victory. So
yeah, those kind of games are fun.
Right.
When it's like guaranteed.
Right? Like there's just no way, because only 6 costs can be played there. It's like, well. And because obviously in another lane I had Electro or something out, right? That's why I was able to play both of them at 6 costs, because otherwise it's like, how do you get them both there? So I hit it with Galactus on the turn 5, and they didn't have any 6 costs. Classic. Next one of mine is if you're selling a Destro bag, Null wants his cut. And I called it that because this player had played very effectively into my Galactus play, except for the part where they neglected one minor detail. If you're destroying shit and I'm playing Null, you're destroying shit for me. Like, you're going to lose some of that power and not be able to retain it unless it's all venomed. And you can see his venom's an 8, so that's not the case, right? And a lot of that power on Null is from the Wolverine, who, yes, he buffs himself, but he also buffs me more, because you only get +2 or whatever each time. I still get his original health pool and the +2 when you kill him again. So it's like, thank you. So I won by a significant amount because, what are you going to do? And then obviously I got a free death just like they did, because they killed everything for me. So that's another thing about the Galactus build is when people are running Destro decks, it's like, why thank you, sir. May I have another? So it's a good counter to that. My next one I called Kneel Before Chi. And so called because I didn't even have to get Galactus. All I had to do was play Hobgoblin. and then they put a big card on Hellfire Club. I killed it with Chi and became that card on turn 6 with Null. And that's what I was talking about before with the Galactus deck. You can still make it work without actually having Galactus. It's just, too funny sometimes.
Way funner with Galactus.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Way less risky. And then you could snap more, like you can see I only got 2 cubes off this one because I had nothing to snap on, until I was sure I was going to be able to pop it. Like I was afraid of that Iron Man the whole time coming out there. And then like a hazmat maybe showing up. This next one I called So Long and Thanks for All the Max because I was not going to win this. And then they played Maximus and I was like, thanks for the cards I needed. And then fucking dropped Galactus on him.
Your next one is the one that I'm like...
Whoops.
Your next one.
Oh, yeah. This one is amazing. I called this one Death's Domain Galactus Bailout. So I was losing. I was losing on the other 2 lanes. There was nothing I could do to win this game. Nothing. And dude snapped on me. And I said to chat, oh, chat, they don't know. They don't know. And so I let him snap. I let everything happen. And then on the last turn, I dropped Galactus on Death's Domain. And I got my cubes back. Forced to tie, dude. Oh, that's so gross. That's so gross, but it was great. Oh, I'm getting tears just thinking about it. Oh, that made me like laugh, cry just thinking about it again. Oh man.
Oh yeah, the next one, mine is funny because like they leaded thinking that they were gonna pull my big cards.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. That is pretty funny.
And they Cosmoed on my
Right.
Morbius collector, and it's like, well, they're not on reveal, so...
Right? It's like, what did they think you were going to do exactly? Yeah, that's some weird countering if I've ever seen it. And that leader,
Like,
they expected you to do something on that Wong, but it's like, dude, I got to be real with you.
Yeah.
I got to be real with you. This is my turn 6 if I'm playing someone with Wong, this is my turn 6 assumption. Doc Doom or White Tiger. I'm not thinking a card that I want a leader for. You know what I mean? Like, that doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't make any, like, leader? What was that was your plan? You deserve to lose. You played leader.
Another one you'll see a lot of is Ultron.
Yeah.
If you see a Wong, you'll see a lot of Doc Doom.
Well, I mean, but why would you play
Deadpool.
Ultron on Wong? You already fill it with the bots.
I think it's just people not understanding the card properly.
Okay, fair enough. It's
Quite
probably
honestly,
something I don't see.
I also see a lot of Wong MODOK, which is what I often do is Wong
fair.
MODOK.
Fair.
Because I'll often have I'll have Swarm in there, so I'll Wong MODOK and then get a shit ton of Swarms. And a very strong APOC, which is how I ended up winning, because he leadered my APOC card, but it's like, that does nothing. Like
Yeah.
because I played middle.
Yeah. Old leader, maybe he does something, but even then, it's full. I think he played something in a lockjaw, though, and pulled it out.
He did, yes.
So,
He did.
yeah. It's kind of a weird choice.
Yeah, because it was pretty clear where I was going to lay my turn 6 card, because, like, that was the location that he had won, or was winning at the time. So it's like, even if he had won either of the other 2 locations, I knew if I played middle,
But
and
yeah,
beat him
Baxter
there,
building, you get that +3, that came in handy, because Nidavellir, you're leading by 2.
Yep. I knew his only other choice was to try to secure middle, right? And so
Yeah.
it was a weird play by him. Worked out great for me though.
Yeah, I would probably recommend to the viewers at home, don't play Lockjaw and Baxter building. Just don't. That +3 is going to come back and not be yours a lot of the time, because you're not pulling a big enough card. It's too risky RNG for that location. That said, your next one I think we called Jer's opponent's doomed by his own deck.
Yeah, I think I just called it
Yeah.
doomed by own card. Yeah.
So speaking
Um,
of the Wong Doombot, like I said a minute ago, look at that.
mhm.
It's Wong Doombot.
Yep. I don't like it because it feels cheesy, but when the deck got swapped like that, I was like, okay, sure.
That's like
And
20. That's so gross.
I had two wogs, right? So I wonged.
Oh my god. That is so much Wong.
I actually like doing that, like wonging on top of wong.
Yeah, or Mystique Wong, yeah.
It's unexpected. Like you don't see a lot of people expecting it. Usually, when you get two wongs, you will play them on opposite lanes, so you can get have a choice where to play. But
Right.
I'll often do it on the same lane because I'll play Modok turn 6 or whatever.
Right.
So I'll get like instead of 2 Modoks, I'll get 4 Modoks.
Right.
So combo that with Swarm and Collector, and get like a bunch of Swarms, which buff the hell out of Collector.
Right.
It's so much fun. Much fun.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But in this situation, as you can see, like I didn't have Collector, so
Yeah.
Modok wasn't going to be effective.
Yeah. But those Doombots, I mean, that's 20. And he only had Sunspot on Danger Room. You know he's not going to play on Danger Room when you're putting up 20. Like, yeah, that's easy dubs.
Yep.
This next one, we called Plague of Swarms.
Yes, I didn't get, again, this is the double wong into Modok. This is the same play I was just talking about where you get a bunch of Swarms. Yeah, you don't get to play them, but because you kill so many cards, you buff the hell out of Morbius and Collector, right?
I mean, that is a 36 Morbius and a 22 Collector. That's large.
Well, think about how many cards you're killing, right?
A lot.
And get returned. Because for each swarm killed, there's 2 swarms that take its place.
You don't even get to see it because it just goes fast forward and eats them all.
And so you do that 4 times, and that's like way too many cards.
Yeah, that's like ancient Egyptian plagues and things because pyramids and shit words.
Yeah, that's like some biblical like.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for. It's like a biblical plague. There's the word I was trying to get.
Yeah.
Autism for the win. I'm like seeing all the things except that. I'm like, well, there's pyramids. It's Egypt. What's the word?
It's so much fun to play that play.
Yeah.
It's rare because you have to have double wong.
Yeah.
But when you get it, like if you can get I don't even know how I got it that game, to be honest.
Cloning vats. You must have.
Nope.
No, because how would it get there?
Yeah, I don't know how I got it because it couldn't have been cloning vats because it would have been on cloning vats.
Well, it's probably, I guarantee that Starlight Citadel was something that let you get your Wong or something because there's a Scarlet Witch that changed it, so I would just assume something happened at that location earlier.
Yeah. See, when I do this play, I'll often play Wong. Like, when I have cloning vats, I will play Wong on cloning vats.
Yeah.
Because it will give me the double Wong, and then I'll play Wong again.
Yeah, so they must have played Scarlet Witch before turn 4 because the Starlight Citadel would have swapped cloning vats. So you did play Wong on cloning vats, just it moved when they Scarlet Witched.
Okay, that makes yeah.
But yeah, that's
that
pretty.
Was a fun game.
That's pretty.
And I got 8 cubes out of it because they were like, "You don't have anything," and then I pulled that. It's like, oh, dude. Pretty sure they snapped turn 1, so I was like, all right, this is the kind of player we're gonna be. Cool.
I've actually played and beaten this player a number of times, so that's funny. All right, next one we have is from community contributions. This one's from Adobo Sage, and I called it Huge Venoms because my God, look at the size of those things. 25, 38, 15, 66. That's a huge Venom. That's a huge Venom.
Yep.
Bar Sinister.
That's probably the biggest Venom I've seen, honestly.
Yeah. And it's the Luchador one, so that's even better. So this is a pretty cool one from Adobo Sage. Cool streamer. You should check him out. This next one is from Ant-Man Thanos. They actually were in the last Night Snappers tournament. Next one's actually the 18th, 3/18. Sign-ups are live. We'll put those in the comments. But yes, or in the description. But here we have Ant-Man Thanos with what I called Minimalist Tony Stark. So his note for this was basically that with Onslaught and Iron Man, you can literally just play those and have a 28.
Yeah, I lost a game this week to Onslaught Iron Man.
Yeah, and so he was pointing out you can play that combo for a 28, just straight up for a 28. Like it's a fucking combo nobody uses. It's nasty, and then you could throw any card on it. And my God, when you throw Captain America on it, you're buffing Iron Man and Onslaught twice, so Iron Man becomes a 2. So you're like double. Like that's some exponential
Wong
growth.
Iron Man Onslaught is brutal too. That's how I lost. Was Wong Iron Man.
Yeah, that's gross. And then you could see he took mid with just a simple play, Storm and Ant-Man, and dude gave up on the floodplain real easy. So I mean, yeah, like solid strat. A basic deck doesn't have like anything you can't get from early pools for the most part. So I mean, in fact, I think those are all pool 1-2 cards. So,
yeah, they are.
Yep. I mean, if you are a player that's free to play, or if you're missing a lot of pool 3 cards, take a look at what Ant-Man's doing here because it's good stuff. It is solid strats that you can use, to play without investing a bunch of money in the game.
Even like all the cards in this hand are all low pool cards.
Yeah, and for like a reference into like just how good he is at playing with low pool cards, he did go very deep into the Night Snappers tournament. He was undefeated until I think the semifinals or something like that. It was crazy. So
I would be very interested to see the full deck list. I would consider running this deck if I saw the full deck list.
Yeah, I'll make a note for next week that I'll ask for Ant-Man's deck list from this ep screeny. That way we have that for community decks next week, and we can get more in depth on that because I think that's definitely something to explore. This next one
again, especially for free to play.
Yeah, and for newer players. Yep. And I know Jez has said before we should do segments on stuff like that, so newer players can find decks they could play.
And even for me, I'd be interested in playing it.
They're also good for tournament decks that have constraints on how much you can use of higher pool cards.
Yeah.
This next one we have is from Catlerana. She's had decks that she's built for me and other stuff, so she's a frequent contributor. And she sent me this screeny this week where she lost to Galactus in the most just brutal way of all time.
I love the time that she took that.
Me too, because it looks perfect. It's as Galactus is splitting apart the 2 Morags. But I mean, can you imagine that? Look how perfectly she played this. That she has, armor and Cosmo on Morag and Morag, right? To the tune of no way this dude could possibly win those lanes. It's not happening. And then all of a sudden, bam, surprise, it's Thanos. Or Galactus, and bam, just destroys those two Morags, and then she doesn't even have a play to make. You know?
Yeah, she had some pretty bad luck when it comes to getting Green Goblin.
Yeah,
and
I actually have to check to see if she
Hobgoblin.
lost her one, to be honest, because I don't know what that Sunspot's going to do.
Well, that Sunspot would have buffed, right? Because she wouldn't have played.
Yeah, because the
Turn
timing of the
6.
screenshot. So I'm going to actually check DMs here.
She should have won that. Because Sunspot would have gone up by 6.
Yeah, let me check.
She should have won.
Yeah, she won 4-2. I double checked. She did actually win this 4-2. So I misspoke. She won this one 4-2, and like there was nothing that she could do about it. So her quote was, "So either this motherfucker doesn't know math, or they just wanted to Galactus the world that badly."
Oh, they didn't know math. They thought they were winning that. They didn't know math.
Yeah. Because I mean, at first I was like, "Wait, she lost this," and I was thinking that was like the final shot where Sunspot, or whatever, had already gotten his gains. But then I realized, wait, no, because it's in the middle of the Galactus animation. The turn hasn't ended, so Sunspot doesn't absorb the energy yet.
Yeah, she still has her energy.
Yep.
She hasn't gotten that buff.
Yep. So she actually wins against Galactus because she had a Sunspot down and couldn't do anything. So this illustrates why the Shuri Hobgoblin play is goated. Okay, goated, because they would have won if they'd done that, guaranteed. Hell, if they'd even done it to the Green Goblin, they would have been better off.
This next screenshot is Thanos versus Thanos.
Yep, this one's from Clown. This one is, I called it, there can be only one Thanos. And it was Clown.
Yeah, Thanos got clowned.
Yep. And that's even with the leech coming in there and fucking up his day. He was still able to, like, big Magneto on a Lockjaw. His Soulstone and Mindstone and Nidavellir were big. And from the looks of it, that Reality Stone did not do the opponent any favors because Nidavellir won Clown that location for sure.
Quite honestly, the other guy should have won that game.
Yeah.
With that leech, he should have won.
Yeah, probably. But I think once things went south, they probably were just like, "Fuck it, I'm out."
Yeah.
Because that's a big Magneto, dude. That is a big Magneto.
Yep.
This next one is from
my favorite play,
Venom.
Ultron.
Yeah, this next one's from Captain Venom. This one's called Ultimate Ultron. I think this is from Captain Venom.
Yes, it is Captain Venom.
No, I mean it says it in the thing, but then I'm looking at the name. He must have changed his name or something, or icon. Let me double check this one really fast, chat. I don't want to miscredit.
This to me is like ultimate troll level though, because
Oh yeah, this was Venom. This was Venom.
You Ultroned on the ongoings doubled, and you onslaughted, and you Mystique,
Right?
and you Patrioted.
Right? I mean, look how big those are. That's like fucking 25 each on those drones. That's 100 to those drones. 100.
Like, it's literally unbeatable. Unless they, like, well, they could have Galactus on the ongoing location. That would have been the only way they would have won. Or Cosmo. I guess they could have Cosmoed. But, oof, even that, like,
Yeah.
it's a rough one.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, and they were playing against an Agatha, so I mean, it was questionable whether Agatha was ever going to win that anyway. I mean,
I don't understand running Agatha in ranked. Like,
I did it, and I actually climbed with it, so you can do it. The thing is, you have to know what you're doing, and those cards, Kazar, Angela, Squirrels, Iceman, Ant-Man, Ironheart, have no fucking business in Agatha. So if you want to run an Agatha deck, you're better off with things like this. Big cards, Infinite, Gigano, like really big fucking cards, just big ass cards for the back end. Then for the front end, you're going to want Quicksilver, Domino, just so that they're there.
guaranteed draw.
Yeah. And then like beyond that, you basically just want her to like be a Hela deck and try to discard herself. So you play Sif to try to kill Agatha, then you're playing, and then you could Hela her back, and that's 14. So I mean, like, basically, it's just a fancy discard deck, and it was a way to play Hela before, you know, we started getting this MODOK meta where, like, Hela's kind of like booty anyway.
I mean, I think Hela's been booty.
Well, she was less risky in an Agatha deck.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I
just
found
was.
like for me, she was always like it
True.
could never effectively get her to work.
Yeah, she's not the best, but you know, she's not the worst. But she's fun to play Agatha Wars with other people with. That's for sure. This last one we have is also from Venom.
This last one's funny.
Yeah, this is also from Venom. And I call this one Destroyer versus Wong and Spider-Woman. So it's a Nexus, and he played Destroyer, and it's bigger than the Spider-Woman Wong play. Even with Spider-Woman reducing Destroyer -1 2 times, or whatever, -2 2 times, sorry, to make it an 11. Yeah. It's still bigger by 1. But even if it wasn't, I mean, like, and it tied, I mean, it's Nexus, so it's going to go to all the other locations, you know, so, like, I don't know what the other player was thinking exactly might happen there, but, okay.
Unless, I don't know, maybe they were thinking that they'd draw a Galactus?
I suppose, maybe, I don't know.
But even then, it's like, you're not winning that.
I mean, if you destroy everything else, that's, yeah, you might, but he wouldn't have known that Venom was going to play Destroyer, so it's like...
No, he wouldn't have. Yeah, he wouldn't have won it.
So,
either way.
That's just weird choices. Weird choices. But, yeah, so Venom ends up winning, and then that's going to do it for Community Screen Grabs, and we will be back with the... Clip Show crossover, but without us, because that's how we do. So this is Snapverse616 for this week, and we'll be back next week with more info on the Nimrod season and how the first week's playing out, and strats and tips for how to deal with that. You got anything to add?
No, just see y'all next week.
All right, y'all have a good one, and we'll see you on the flip flop. Excelsior, true snappers, and peace.
Victory.
We did it. We fucking did it. Let's go. Now who wants to battle? Yes. Fucking yes. Well, I have 2 turns to beat that. I think I can. Oh, no. Yes, we win. I am the king of the top deck. Badoop. Yo, that was
victory.
That one had some like twists and turns. That one was a roller coaster. My God.
Where each deck fitted, even though I'm prone to snap that. Known to be so quick-witted, you sound Drax when you snap back. When everyone knows it rains Jess Jones on the tap mat. Think your boss sings the flow, administer vision if you're not at a spot I blow with a skip track. You tried to blow back the roof, so my armor said I will skip that. Jubilee still got a +1, Okoye said she's with that. Cause the Nightman cometh, Iceman stunneth, while the Hulkman smashing America ass who done it? Snapverse 616. Snapverse616. 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 Then Invoke drops Kazar cause he's Mr. Fantastic. His spectrum of skills are what let me handle this rap shit. His puff up, his clutch up, smokes 3 sacks like it's magic. But it's a Wolfsbane classic. You thought your full moon's Jurassic, but it's actually tragic. If I'm a silver fox with the flippity yippity yapping, he's quick like a rabbit. His girls unfurling squirrels while his flirkins hurling antics. Invoke the hawk-eyed watcher who ought to see through your static.